moment.
In.
Yeah.
Hello.
It's going to confuse everyone now, though, with not having like a live chat and things.
And no audience to kind of go
that's right.
bounce off against as well.
So relaxing.
Yeah.
It's not live. It's kind of funny, right? Every time you go on such a thing, it clicks something in my head, at least, that, well, now I'm recorded. There's some weird thing in the back of my head that this is no different from just talking to you, so to say.
Yeah.
Well, it is. Technically.
I mean, the four of us sort of chat anyway, at least sort of once a week, generally.
I really enjoy that. It's so cool that we kept this going.
Yeah.
It's like a fixed one you can always look forward to.
Exactly, you maybe want to say who's on. Now that people can't see us.
Well, they will be able to see it because it will go out on video. So it's at the moment it's being recorded live on YouTube, but no one can watch unless they can guess the link.
That's very hard to do with
with random
cryptographically secure links.
Yeah. So if they can guess the link, they could watch it live. So if we see comments coming up, we know we've got hacked. We've been hacked.
Nice, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we'll go out on the YouTube, and it will then go out as well. But yes, I suppose we should. I mean, there'll be a thing on the thing, but at the moment the episode is just called Makers Waffle episode 31 2K. Because we've got Kjell and we've got Karo. 2K.
Ooh, see what you did there.
Yeah.
Nice.
Not just a pretty face, me. Yeah.
Not just a headband.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah. Tschüss. No, tschüss. No, it's bye, isn't it? I don't know. What would you say in German for cheers?
Prost.
Prost. Prost.
Of course it
I
would.
should know that from Laura's videos, shouldn't I? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. She's even got this like written Prost, right?
Yeah. Let the glue dry. Prost, yeah.
I talked to her today, funnily enough. Secret stuff. Actually,
tell us all about it.
No, I actually really can't this time. Sorry.
I know.
So she's not moving to yours then because you've got so much space?
Not yet. No, probably never. Although that would be pretty cool.
I suppose it depends on how much of the local town you can take over, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Once you start buying up all the other houses and then moving all of us across.
It's super odd. The property right next to us is like, at least it's empty, right? Nobody's living there. They don't want to sell, as it seems. I don't know why. It's also quite big, and nobody's taking care of the property, so to say. So now it really looks like a haunted house, completely grown in and quite cool. I like that. But they still have the timers on the lights, so every night the lights goes on, and I don't know.
That's scary.
Amazingly predictable.
Yeah.
So it's effectively abandoned, but still kind of operational.
I think really nobody's living there for quite a long time. But I'm not living here for that long that I can say for sure. But the pre-owners told me that it's empty for at least 1.5 or 2 years or something.
Oh wow!
So yeah. I ran out of money. I can't buy it. So if I would have the money, I would probably buy it just out of principle, to have like a guest house, which is like a 2 families house for you guys to just dump your shit and come by whenever you want. That'd be great.
I mean, that's how we ended up with this house, is because we live next door to my parents-in-law, and it was a case of that my wife had sort of reached 19 years old, and this house came on the market, so they just went, I'll tell you what, our mortgage is paid, we'll buy that house and just move you into it. You can rent it off us.
Oh, yeah.
And then that, I think it was purely an excuse to get her out of, the parental home, give them a little bit of freedom again.
So she carried all the boxes like this, just from one door to the other? Or?
Pretty much. But they were running a health and safety training company, but their office was in the house. So her commute would then be out, because she was working for them as well. She would walk out the front door about 10 meters and then in the next door.
That's quite convenient.
Nothing
But
silly, like
I mean,
4 meters.
every time you're a minute late, your boss will know, right?
Yeah, but at least you could
traffic's
go.
terrible.
It's all right. I'll just put the kettle on, Dad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just knock on the wall to send a sign over.
Oh yeah, exactly. You're late again.
Suppose they haven't kind of cut it in a doorway.
It has been talked about quite a few times.
Oh,
But
can you
you
go?
managed to not do it, right?
Can you go on
So
the
far we
roof?
haven't.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
The roofs are sort of planar to each other, but we'd have to, because they're not flat roofs, so you couldn't sort of realistically climb up and out. But we could climb up on top of my sort of outdoor workshop and then climb across onto theirs and drop down. So there is a way in.
You just make fixed point for ropes on the walls, so you can
Apply
just
that into their garden.
stand on him and hold yourself, right?
Via ferrata.
That'd be nice.
Oh, fantastic.
That's actually one thing I want to do. Hopefully next summer. We have a few trees that are standing quite nicely together, and a friend of mine suggested to build something that's apparently called a high net. Think about just laying mid-air
Nice.
in like 5 meters height, and you can just look up into the trees.
Gonna make it a bouncy net.
Mm.
There's a place in North Wales. It's an old slate mine, and there's two types of slate mines. There's open slate mines where literally they just dig a hole in the ground, which are more common. But there's a slate mine which is caverns underground, and
the Colin Firth type, right?
Yeah. So completely underground. So you kind of go into a sort of shaft door and add it, and you get in. But this particular one, long abandoned, they've put in a series of zip lines and giant trampoline nets, so you can literally bounce around inside these caverns, and you zip line down to one trampoline, and you kind of bounce off that one onto another one, and you kind of you work your way down through the mine from the sort of top to the bottom.
That sounds like a side-scroller jump and run game.
Yeah, that's certainly what it is. Yeah,
Cool.
it's completely like a video game in real life.
First-person view side scroller.
Can we go play when I'm over next time?
Yes,
That sounds
please.
really fun.
I
North
miss
Wales.
North
I
Wales
can't-
so much.
Yeah, haven't been for years.
So many amazing places there.
But there's I think the same facility where there was also open cast mines as well. They've got zip lines that are like I think there's something like a kilometre long zip line.
I think
It's
I've never
1,000
been on
meters.
one. It's like where it's
They
actually
are
doing
so
the noise,
much
right?
fun.
So it's just a wire cable and you just zzz.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
cool.
I did
How's it going,
several through the jungle of South America, which is
Nice.
just so the three canopies. It's so amazing.
Oh god, that sounds amazing.
It's so
Yeah.
good. Like through the cloud forest, especially. Because I don't know if you ever heard of a cloud forest, which is basically very misty, jungly forest with volcanoes and stuff like that. And
I mean, again,
How long is that
That's
ride?
like a video game.
what do you mean? How long is that ride?
How long is the line, right? I mean,
Oh, I don't know, several. There's just like several small ones and then a long one.
cool.
Yeah, it's really, really fun.
Actually,
I have to say it's probably how birds feel like, right?
Oof, like
mean,
flying
you-
through that. Have you
you
been
never-
lying or sitting?
Like you can do everything you want basically, but I mean,
But there are these
when
like
do you ever?
hanging mat things, right? Where you actually are horizontally.
Oh, the Superman ones, yeah.
Like the hang
but
gliders.
I don't like this one too much, but it's more like if you can
Spread
actually
your
sit in it and look around. And I mean,
Cool.
on what occasion do you get a view like that ever?
Yeah, never.
Yeah.
Except in a helicopter or something, and then it's ugly loud.
And yeah,
But
but in a
even
helicopter
higher
you're
up, though, wouldn't you?
sitting. Yeah, you're sitting and you're not like feeling the air and anything.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's
That
super
must be
special.
cool, yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that bird analogy is absolutely absolutely on it there, Caro, because like you say, that kind of that movement within the trees is something that you wouldn't get in any other kind of way of transport.
I want to fly as well.
Yeah.
So much fun.
But even the high garden was quite enjoyable. I was once with my sisters in a high garden. That's also already quite enjoyable. And there was also a zip line that was quite short, but I didn't get to ride it because I think I was too heavy or something. It was for kids. No.
Yeah. I sense a treehouse coming your way, yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Yeah. I think last
time. Do you follow the channel called The Smuggler's Room? Brian Thompson.
No.
On YouTube.
Not yet.
He's a he's a Star Trek fan, big time. Like his basement, he is turning into a Star Trek themed room, and in fact, he and guy whose name I can't remember, a British guy, they started a Facebook group all about kind of Star Trek.
Nice.
Not Star Trek, the other one.
Star Wars.
Star Wars. That's it. It's spacey kind of soap opera. They're almost the same thing, aren't they?
That's Rich Hoovian.
Yeah, so the Star Wars sort of build. So he's kind of doing a room, and he builds droids and the like. Mm-hmm. A video he put out a couple of days ago. He'd been to stay somewhere. I think it's in one of the Carolinas in the States. And he's now going to work with the owners of the area to make what he described in his video as the ultimate Airbnb. So basically, they've got these series of tree houses, and they're all themed. So he's working with them. They're designing a Star Wars spacecraft Airbnb.
Nice.
So basically, you go along and you climb in the trees. So basically, I think where they show the location, I think it might just be on kind of sort of stilts. So basically,
that's going to be like Endor. They're going to need like Ewoks and Wookiees and.
I wanted to say Wookiees would be my favorite kind of like treehouse housing style. These bridges between them and then little platforms around, and that'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
I think that would actually be possible. So many opportunities. That's the biggest problem.
That is a very
well.
big problem. Very blessed to have that.
Yes, I am. That's right. That's for.
And I mean, you've only been there a couple of months, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how things develop. If spring comes along and everything starts to bloom and everything gets nice.
Yeah.
You can all come over and have a barbecue and
my mother-in-law went crazy because she ordered from a discount or what it's called, wholesale. No, when they do like we have to clean our storage.
Yeah, wholesale. I think.
Wholesale.
Yeah, like
clearance kind of thing.
Yeah,
clearance
sale.
Clearance.
Okay.
Anyway, she bought like 500 like small how do you call these onions where plants come out
bulbs
of? Bulbs 500 bulbs, and she put them all in the ground everywhere on the property, and she put some roses in, and she prepared other plants already, and where we fell the tree, it's going to be a half circle of roses, and then some nice. Plants to cover the ground around there, and it's. I'm thinking that's going to be quite amazing, but
can I borrow her for a week or two?
That's actually that might be possible. She really knows her way around plants and how to put them in, and we have like seven fruit trees now.
Cool.
And yeah, I'm really looking forward to be here for the rest of my life, basically. So
what you're saying is you need multi over there as well to get you set up with brewing. So you can make all your own ciders and things.
She's interested in that. We could bribe her with this. she said, how does brewing actually work? I would like to try that and do my own. And I'm like, I know a few.
So there'll be the Ottobarn winery, the Ottobarn cidery,
Yes,
the Ottobarn
Brewery.
peanut butter.
The Ottobarn Makery.
Yeah. If the winter is gone, or at least freezing temperatures are gone, I'm going to pour the concrete in the workshop. That's going to happen very, very much exactly when no freezing comes by anymore.
Yeah,
And
you need a good 4 or 5 days of above zero temperatures, I think.
I don't really know. There's technicalities to it, and I would just get the right grade and pretty much put the bracing in and do it myself, because it went kind of fine on the room I did already. I know what I did wrong there. I have to do some work I could have spared, I think, but I wouldn't do it there. Obviously, don't do it twice. And my structural engineer gave me the paperwork for structural engineer stuff. So I know what I have to do now, and I don't have to like rip apart the whole staples. So
fantastic.
Well, that's good.
that's good. That's
very
very
good.
good. Yeah.
See,
Enough about that. Sorry.
Like you said, I think we've all got that kind of like that excitement for you and for knowing what you are like. You know, that like drive and motivation that you've got for doing these kind of things, that, you know, we can all kind of live vicariously through you being an absolute machine. I think, well, the pair of you, I suppose. You know, for your
I
various
guess
projects.
really the main thing that I'm trying to live by currently is not stress too much and do a bit every day, right? Or every second day, or whatever comes by. When you really can't, don't stress about it, don't do it. But I mean, today I was doing my sports, and then I had to hand out 2 presents for the neighbors for Christmas. And then there was like, it was 50 minutes until this, right? So I said, okay, 50 minutes is something. So I went downstairs and put the ground on the concrete, the grounding liquid stuff, so I can do something to it. And that obviously that didn't take 50 minutes. So you can just get it done and have another step done, right? For me, today, that's my success. So I'm just going to try and continue doing that. And the same thing for the whole thing I already did to the workshop, right? Every evening, maybe an hour or maybe 2, you can just tear something down or put something up. And if you continue to do that...
Yeah, it's great that you're living there, right? So it isn't that far away.
Yeah.
And you see it constantly. For me, if I were about to do something in a workshop, I have to travel there for 40 minutes to even get there and get started. And I don't know, I haven't been to the shop in I haven't been to the shop in weeks, because it's just getting way too cold anyways. So after I finished the last job and the treasure trade thingy, I was like, I know I can't be bothered coming in here, but there's tons of stuff to do. So at the moment, I'm trying to work somewhere else. So I actually got just a 60-hour engagement at my old workplace, which is so nice, because it's just, you come there at 7, you leave. Yeah, you come at 7, you leave at 4, you get the job done. It's not like very, I don't know, we're making trees, right? So it's like, I've done probably 500 trees by now in my career.
You don't need my mother-in-law. You can just make yourself trees.
So it's a very easy, so to say, task. So it's very relaxing for once.
I
And
was
it's
about to say,
heated.
is it less stress as well? Because
It is less stress.
Is it warmer?
On one side, it's less stress, because also I haven't been there in quite a few years, also because of COVID and stuff. But I was always keen on like doing my own projects and my own workshop, and I have to do everything from start to finish. And it's actually quite nice to be there, and I know everyone knows me. It's like super relaxed, right? I just go there. Everyone's very nice, and especially this time of year, everyone, like, there's only like half of the people there anyways, because most of them are on holidays. So it's just super easy and relaxed and nice work. And I'm glad I got a bit more hours in, because originally I was planning in quotes, to take off the whole of December and just do nothing. I don't know. I can't.
I think that's the thing, is that you sort of get to a point after a few days, once you've sort of got out of your previous routines and stuff, and you're in that kind of, I can finally relax. Now what can I do? You know, you sort of straight away go into that kind of.
The problem really is that I go, and I think that's like a very specific thing for me, is I go from one extreme to the other. So I don't have any like mediocrity in my life, really. So I either work like a madman for 12 hours a day until I fall asleep, like very exhausted. And I love it. I love everything about it, right? Or I have nothing to do and I will stay at home, get very depressed, I'm not joking, and don't know what to do with my life and can't move and can't do like even little tasks I'm not able to do because I'm just drained of energy, probably. So I'm having a bit of a trouble finding like the balance, the mediocrity in all of this. So
I can really see myself there as well.
Yeah, definitely.
It's difficult. And when you're in that downward slope, it's very hard to get out of. So especially, I don't know why it was like that. Like a few weeks ago, I was planning on going on like a proper holiday with like one of my best friends. And that got cancelled because I was going to visit him. He was working on a film and had like a week off in between on the Canary Islands. And then like all of his schedule got changed and he was like, yeah, I have to work this day and I have to work this day. And in the end, we were just like, it's not worth it, right? So we scrapped that plan. And so I was at home and I was like, oh yeah, I can see my local friends. And technically everyone was sick that week. So like not with COVID, it's just like the winter flu or something. Everyone was at home like, oh, I'm not feeling well. I'm like, fuck it. We can't even meet for a coffee. So that was kind of a downer, but I don't know. I mean, the whole week when I went to London was pretty much the opposite. So I really needed that. I really wanted to go. And in the end, it was so good. It was very stressful as well, but in a good way, I guess, an exciting way.
You crammed a few things in.
Yeah,
I crammed a lot of things in. Yeah.
You had really some super cool places posted from the museum and a few things I would have loved to see as well.
Yeah, that's
also
the
a few
thing,
people
though.
met I would have loved to meet.
Yeah, that's the thing, though.
Here.
I was in that room. I was standing
in my
in
TV.
Exactly. Should have taken a picture with me on that chair, though. It's like...
Oh, that would have been good. Yeah.
I didn't dare to climb the throne.
We did say that we should have got photos of you guys, and then I could have like pasted you in the backgrounds for one of the waffles if you just sort of sat around me.
People that have been at your place, you should just give a picture of what your camera shows so they can make it their background. So everybody's in the same background.
That's not a bad plan.
Yeah, but I can really see myself in what you just described, Carol. For me, it's also if I know I have, I tend to cram in a ton of things as soon as I see free time. Because if I've got really, really free time and there's nothing planned and I'm supposed to do nothing, I don't know. I really have a super hard time dealing with that, and I feel like I'm a useless piece of shit all the time. It sounds odd, right? But that's exactly how I feel. Like, okay, and now what? I'm wasting my lifetime. It's pouring through my hands, and what am I good for? Shit piece of meat. I don't know. It's no.
I get the same thing of like,
sorry,
that kind of when you sort of on the way back down from that, where you've been burning yourself like full tilt for the whole time, and then you start to kind of come on that sort of crash back down. and then you're at that point where everyone's going, just stop, just rest for a couple of days,
Not
and then
gonna
you
be.
go, yeah, but then if I'm
That's
rested,
worse.
I can't do this, and then I can't do this, and then I can't do this. I'm like, yes, that's the whole point. Do nothing.
Yeah, but
Then you
it's mental. It stresses if you are trying to relax. I can't relax, right? If I'm doing nothing, I'm stressing myself out. That I
Because
have
you're
to do
doing
this and
nothing,
that. Yeah, exactly. So I'm having a very hard time just relaxing, right? I don't know what that actually
Relaxing
means.
is hard work.
Does it
Yeah.
mean that I have to book a massage and I don't know, light some candles or whatever? I don't know.
It's
To
like
me, it
telling
really
kids
helps.
when they're asleep, isn't it? It's like go in a dark room, lie down, and then don't do anything.
I'm going to sleep, and if I'm awake, I need to leave.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it works for me. I can't if I go horizontal, right, and it's not loud and bright, I'm going to sleep like that. And if it's not that case, and I'm like awake again, I'm going to leave. I just can't stand it. I don't know. But what really helps me is not being home or near things I could do that are normally in my. I remember I could at least do this and that and this and that and this and that. And it never ends,
While I'm
right?
here, I'll just do this.
Yeah, but what I wanted to say with the workshop thing and what's currently helping me as well, I think that I can just go downstairs and not have a plan and just say, I'm just going to do something downstairs. The cool part about it is it's very relaxing because there's no actual task. But once you're downstairs, you'll do nothing for exactly 1 second and then start something, right? And that's just so fantastic. It's like perfect tinkerage, right? You're just going to tinker around.
Just need that spark of, okay,
Exactly, yeah.
now I'm gonna
And once
do
that
this.
spark came, you can just go on and do a bit of this and a bit of that.
I mean, the
Wish I
thing
could get into
about
Tinkerage, yeah.
the thing about the trip to London especially was like after that really like unnerving week at home, we went to, it was a very spontaneous idea because I haven't planned anything. I mean, I went down because I had booked tickets for as a gift for James and Naomi's wedding. I had booked tickets for the theater play of Book of Dust, where Barnaby Dixon was doing the puppets for, and let me tell you, it was incredible. It
Doesn't surprise
seeing that live, like the whole play, not only the puppets, like the whole play was incredibly well made, like from every department. But that aside, we spontaneously decided to go to the Harry Potter like exhibition, Warner Brothers Studios tour, whatever thingy. And I didn't even expect that because every time I ask my friends around here if they want to do something, they're all like, I don't know. Maybe
Chill on the couch.
I don't have any money. I don't know. So I was basically there, and like one of the second reason I wanted to go like that week was because one of my favorite bands was having a gig, but they canceled the day before. So we were sitting on the couch like, okay, what do you want to do tomorrow? Like they were asking me, and I was like, I don't know. Maybe go to the Natural History Museum, which is really nice, or I don't know, walk around London. I don't care. And then I was like, yeah, I've heard about this Harry Potter studio tour, but I don't know what it is. And they were both like, okay, let's do this. I'm like, okay. And then we booked tickets like within 20 minutes for the next day and just went there. And Naomi actually went there before, but I think she was very hungover, and it was several years ago. So
Good to see it with fresh eyes then.
yeah, pretty much. And for me, that tour, I mean,
Same here.
but I'm not like a die-hard super fan. I don't collect merch or anything. I read all the books, I saw the movies. I mean, we basically grew up on this, right? But so seeing all the stuff for me was like, oh my god, this is so fucking good. And I was walking through there, and like after an hour or so, I said to Naomi, I was like, I really want to get to work now. this is sparking so much in me.
Full.
Yeah, it was incredible to see. And actually, like, one of my best friends worked on that movie, one of the movies several years ago, and I was sending him some pictures, and he was like pointing out on which hats he did the wigs and stuff, like oh no way.
Hey, this one has a bad seam, look at that place.
So I don't know, it just it felt really fulfilling seeing everything.
Cool.
For me. I think everyone was pretty excited and didn't expect much, and it was just really nice experience. So we were all very, very happy when we went out there and drank a butterbeer.
Butterbeer?
I keep threatening to make those and just haven't got around to it yet.
I didn't expect it to be that, right? Because it's basically, I don't know, it tastes like a ginger ale with ice cream on top or something. It's pretty weird. Yeah, there's like the butterbeer, like the foam is apparently just soft serve ice cream. It's not alcoholic.
There's got to be. Well, I know I've seen a couple of recipes that are like proper, like make it from scratch, but alcoholic, full of butter type. You know, like as close to what you'd imagine a butterbeer to be. But I haven't got around to making them.
I haven't tried I haven't tried the bottled one. Like you can buy at the store, I think, the bottled butterbeer, but I didn't buy that. So, yeah. So all this together, like the tour, and then next day we went to the play, and that was also just, oh my god, I need to get cracking.
I want to go back to the museum as well. I haven't been in years now.
Yeah, I haven't.
Well, we went to this Tom Sachs exhibition together.
Exactly, yeah.
Which
that
is
was
not
actually awesome.
It's not a museum, but that was also one of the similar. Yeah, you're wearing the T-shirt, right? That was a similar experience, I think.
That looks so good.
Seeing everything up close, and also for me, the difference probably is that I've been not only working alone all the time, but also like living alone, and the past 2 years with the pandemic, everything. I think it was a bit too much of solitude. So being able to share these experiences with other people who appreciate it as much as you do, it's so fucking important.
So there's a hell of a lot to be said for that.
I have no problem, like some people don't do that, but I have no problem going to the cinema alone and just do whatever I want, basically. So fuck it. If no one wants to come along, it's okay, right?
Absolutely.
But sharing that experience with others who are like-minded is just, I don't know. It hits different somehow.
I suppose as well that for something like that, which has got, because like the things that you and James tend to make, for instance, are quite well removed from each other. But to see another mutual thing like Harry Potter, for instance, where there are sort of aspects of stuff that you both make, you're kind of, it's the shared experience, but from different angles, but within that same bubble. Viewing it as makers, but from different maker viewpoints. Whereas I think if you, if you all went as the same type of thing, the conversation, if you were all, artist prop maker types that went to that, you'd all be having the same conversations. Whereas I think having a different conversation about the same thing, it's somehow more enriching, I think, isn't it?
It is. And people
you
point
saw that
out
thing. How did you see that thing?
Yeah. People point out totally different aspects as well. Like, I think it's fascinating to see what other people find interesting in that regard.
Definitely, yeah. That's why it's quite nice for me being able to show you guys like my workshop
Yes.
to sort of go, oh, look, this is where I do stuff, and then the way you guys were all sort of poking around to see what intrigues you, rather than just like, here's all the things.
I think for the Tom Sachs exhibition, there's two things that I could really enjoy, and that was once that it wasn't a typical exhibition, to me at least, right? Where
It was a performance, really.
exactly,
Yeah.
and that was crazy because the day we went there was really mostly performance and things to look at and see already, but after you went through the whole mission and the whole thing happening, the rest of the exhibition opened, right? So you had a lot of things you could see only then and discover then. And also I really liked and enjoyed the school trip kind of staying at my place in Hamburg with you and Phil and Alan. That was really nice as well. So we had like this basement or base we could go back to, and other than that we just had things to do, right? That was really cool as well.
Yeah, I think we get that from like what everyone's like talking about after maker events like Maker Central, so that they are really just filled up with positive energy and ideas and everything, and that I think for me Maker Central is way too overwhelming in that regard because it's just so much, right? You can't. Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot to take in. It's awesome, but it's also very exhausting, at least for me, because of the sensory overload that you get. And I'm very sensitive towards that, anyways. So like even riding the tube in London is way too much for me. And after that, I just want to hide in a corner and cover my ears. So all that is there's something ringing.
Got an alarm going off. Yeah, got an alarm going off.
You got to do squats now.
That was me for a moment.
No, I've got to book a supermarket delivery slot.
See, I'd turn my alarm off, Andy.
Well, I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and I've booked the slot. I thought I'd cancelled it earlier because I did book it earlier. I thought I dismissed it, but obviously I didn't.
It's Christmas. No problem.
It's real.
So just to finish off that point, I think it's very important to maybe get in smaller doses of interaction and motivation and inspiration, like not just once a year, everything at once. It's super important that we have these. That we have the Makers Waffle where we can hang out every Sunday. And
I was just going to say that Makers Waffle for me has been really, really good in terms of kind of.
But it doesn't replace the in-person.
No, not at all. But it's for me.
Keeps you sort of bobbing along until you can.
Yeah, chatting to people that I consider friends, most of them anyway. Being able to talk about actually waffling about just about anything, but sometimes talking about their work or whatever, what they make, but talking about like the one we had last week with Andy Berkey, Dave Bauer, Ali Katz, and Steve House, talking about art, craft, and design. I mean, I think it must have been 3 o'clock in the morning before my brain switched off after that, which is probably not necessarily the healthiest thing, but it was just like things just buzzing around in my head.
It's super important to have conversations and to have input from others and not just be stuck in your own head all the time. And especially after these, I don't want to pick COVID up again, but I think it just exaggerated on all the people who are maybe more of a loner type anyways, that they are more crawling back into their shell.
Well, I mean, on the sort of on the topic of being overwhelmed and with shopping with Andy's alarm, we went and did the kind of the pre-Christmas shop earlier this afternoon, and it was just absolutely like completely horrendous. Like system overload. Yeah, it's just Granted, there are a lot of people actually, sensibly masked up, which, to be fair, it's government mandate, it's mandatory in shops now, but there's still loads of people who weren't, and there was no social distancing. Everyone's crawling on top of each other because it's a big supermarket packed full of people 2 days before Christmas. Everyone was trying to get all of their stuff, but even still, it was just that complete sensory overload for someone who generally doesn't leave the house too often. And if I can't sort of grab all of the people I'm around straight away, then that's, if it's more than that, then it's too many people, sort of thing. So it was really, really difficult. After like the first few minutes, I was just exhausted from walking around the shop. And it's that, like you say, it was that complete sensory overload. I was just exhausted, just coming back and just do nothing for a little bit to just try and just decompress from.
My wife put it in a very nice way. She said a few weeks back. She said, we just haven't trained being people socially for 1.5 years now, right? So obviously absolutely. You're out of shape. I mean, of course you are.
Yeah.
I mean, when we had the festivities here, with outside, right? Everything was safe and all that, but there were so many people, and like there was my wife and I, and my parents-in-law and my brother-in-law, and that's it, right? That's the people I knew, and then the rest was strangers, pretty much. That evening, I did the last thing, and I went to the couch, and I was like, I feel sick now. And I was just laying down. One of the very few cases where I could just lay down and not sleep. And I felt very, very sick. Just like as if I had a really, really heavy leg day sick, right? Where you trained so hard that you're so crazy exhausted that you would like to go to sleep, but you can't because you already feel the tingling from the soreness. Really bad. I don't know. It was really feeling like that.
Kjell, did you have that experience before? Because I feel like it's just, if you're usually like a social person, like an extrovert kind of thing, and always having a lot of friends around you, I think you will probably continue maintaining that even through the pandemic. Whereas you are, as I am, like with the former Maker Centrals, for example, I was very much exhausted after that anyways, right? Not because I hadn't had the experience before, or so I think that comes just on top, or maybe exaggerates it a bit.
I think I'm typically okay with being like more on the extrovert side and meeting many people at once and all that. I don't have any problem with this. It does exhaust me still, right? And I never had it like so bad that it feels like, okay, I know now I overdid it, right? If that makes sense. But it's fine. I mean, I guess you will get back and train yourself back into being more able to be socially with people, and right now it's all on the edge again. But
I think the difference as well is whether it's people you choose to be around.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Good point.
As kind of introverts, we're I think more adept at dealing with this kind of thing of kind of not seeing other people. I know like extra, like you're saying, if you're the type of person to be going out all the time, being told not to is a really, really difficult thing. But if you're the type of person who doesn't go out all the time and someone says stop going out, it's very easy to then just go okay. But then
thank you.
Yeah, exactly. But that flip side then of when you can see other people and you go, right, I would like to see you and you, rather than let's go to a place where I don't know anybody and just be around all of the people. I think that is then much more draining than when you can kind of
absolutely
selectively pick the people who don't overwhelm you, sort of thing.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that can't be alone, and that probably have never had the real experience of being by themselves for a longer period of time, or like going on holidays alone or so. It's for some people that's completely new, and for me it feels kind of natural. That doesn't mean that as I said earlier, it's if you have people with you that mean you well, right? Maybe that's the difference, that you enjoy having company with. I would much rather prefer spending time with them than going alone. But I would much rather prefer going alone than spending time with just anyone, I guess. So that's the big difference.
I think there's a lot to be said for being able to be in someone's company and just be in their company. You know, we're talking.
Absolutely.
You know, we've talked before about parallel play. You know, two of you are working on your own things, but just kind of in the same room. You know, coexisting in the same space in each other's company, but
that's
not
the best.
necessarily. Exactly. Yeah. You know, and I think it's the same for just, you know, kind of social situations where you can, you know, be sat round a fire with a friend, just there in the quiet, you know, or those kind of things where you're both just sat enjoying being rather than having to be making small talk or things like that.
Yeah, if you feel like you have the obligation to entertain someone constantly, it's probably not going right. Like when we sat around the fire at the wedding, we didn't need to talk like nonstop. It was just nice enjoying like being there and being
it's funny
in company.
that you say exactly that, because that reminded me of when we did the 10 makers, right? We did a bonfire every evening pretty much, and there were a few hours spent without anybody talking, and I think that's a very good sign, that you can just be with the people and not talk, I guess, just stay in the moment and relax.
And just be,
like this.
And we all go quiet for 20 minutes.
We all went quiet in the podcast.
That's kind of funny. Yeah, let's do a hangout and
not talk.
Everybody's just going to not talk, and
there's always one or two people who will talk.
Yeah.
As we all know.
Because that's quite often the Monday night, isn't it? You know, for that Monday night is quite often just parallel play. Just we're all working on our own things or something.
Well, maybe explain it to people who are not aware of what the Monday night means.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so back at would have been March 2020. We Steve House from Fills with Tools, or last week for those listening, had suggested that a load of us who had some skills would share them with other folk who wanted to learn. So a few of us started doing some kind of training courses and stuff, and we had this little group of friends that would get together on a Monday night and do some stuff, and that has then persisted since March 2020. So then on a Monday night,
you're missing out a bit there. You're missing out the fact that you ran a course for Schools for Fools.
Exactly.
On how to use Fusion 360 and the basics of CAD from a CAD professional's point of view.
That wasn't the important bit, though, Andy.
Well, yes, it was for us.
It's a bit that I think that is important for people to realise that Monday was specifically a group of people that were interested in learning Fusion 360, which you facilitated. And that then developed into extra little bit of input from other people into things like how to use things specifically for 3D printing. So I think because of the bit that Duncan did, and that then developed into, we kind of finished, but we really like this Monday night hangout. Can we just carry on doing it, please, sir?
Well,
I mean, we just kept doing it, I guess, right?
Yeah, it was 15 weeks, I think, altogether of doing CAD courses or CAD lessons on the Monday nights. And then by that point, 15 weeks of seeing everyone on the same day every week. We just carried on, haven't stopped.
And it's all on this Makers Magnet Discord, which is kind of funny because I think we're, so to say, the only regular citizens of it. I mean, I don't mind. I really enjoy it. I think it's kind of cool that we still do this every week, and every week there's some cool oddball question that you get answered, or you can't.
I mean, you basically transitioned from CAD to video games, didn't you?
Yeah,
in a way.
Yeah, the video games has only really been relatively recent. That's only been in the last couple of months. In terms of actually playing them on the Monday night, normally we'd be tackling other projects or bugging Kjell for coding problems or things like that. Just bits of other. It's just a good excuse to just have a bit of a waffle, have a bit of a natter.
No,
and
I
pick
have
each
to
other's
go
brains.
there. I mean, there's IT stuff involved and technical things, and
I think that that Hangout or that Discord thing helped out quite a few people, like who are on the regular side.
Absolutely.
So it was amazing just seeing you and Duncan and everyone. I don't know, it's weird how these things and these friendships develop. And it feels very, very natural how it came together in that regard.
Absolutely, yeah.
So no one was forced to join anything. Just really get along and really excited.
That's exactly
to see
it.
each
I
other.
think it's exactly that, what you just said, though. The fact that it's kind of optional, opt-in. There's no pressure, there's no commitment. It's an open platform there. If you want to come and hang out, come and hang out. I think that's exactly it, of it being, there's no you must turn up. It's just, if you're there, you're there. If you're not, you're not.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because I guess my mother and my grandparents would say, well, but do you actually know these people? Just out of reflex, right? Because that's how they lived their life and how they communicated throughout their life. I think my mother is fine now. She got it recently, but my grandparents, they really that's too much for them. How these things work and that they work and all that stuff, right? But the funny thing is, I think I could actually say I would rather stay at any one of the guys and girls I meet at least every 2 weeks, than any one of my real friends I haven't seen for years now. I mean, it sounds kind of odd, partially, right? But to me, it really feels like, hey, we've met every 2 weeks. If now on one of the other weeks I would come by and stay at your place, well, absolutely. I mean, I know you guys, really. I haven't spent that much time with, I think, maybe 1 or 2 friends in the last years.
I think
that's crazy.
It's partly, I see it with my local friends as well, and it's not a generational, but it's an age problem, I think, as well. As soon as you're getting into serious relationships and maybe kids are involved and everything, just everyone is going their own way and is busy with work and everything. It is not that easy just to meet up spontaneously. I mean, I love my friends here, even if I don't see them in months, but it's very hard just to make out a date for a simple coffee sometimes, and that's what's really bothering me. And I don't know, but I think it's probably just the way it goes. And if you're a student and you're all like hanging out every day. It's also, it comes naturally, right? You're
Yeah.
spending
like
that much
no
time
obligation,
together.
is there?
No obligation, no kids to look after, etc. And
And there's that shared common location with things like
that
studios.
as well, yes.
I mean, you think about traditionally, you form friendships based on location, either location where you live, you become friends with your neighbours, location of where you work, or location perhaps somewhere else where you have perhaps a shared experience. So if you have a hobby that you go somewhere to do, like climbing or caving or something like that, that sort of jumped to my mind because there's ones that were in my past, but we're not constrained to location anymore.
Yeah,
that's one of the beautiful things about the internet. We can actually make friends with people who share interests and values.
I mean, as evidenced by the fact that we've got 4 people in 4 cities in 2 different countries in the world who are friends who've been chatting religiously every week for several years. Yeah, more so than any of our other local friends. It's bridged that gap, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's also one of the big reasons why I really want to do the camp at my place, right? Because I know that there would eventually be coming a few people that are not part of like our hangouts, or I'll do that at another point in time. But to me, like this, having you guys all here is like first priority to me. I think that would just be great to have like a live hangout, and right, and I don't
just
know,
one camera.
Yeah, eventually, yeah.
You have one camera with all of us, and then there's
make like a load of boxes, and then we can all just kind of just stick our faces in the boxes.
Yeah,
and just
like just frames. Everybody hold up a frame. Yeah.
But is there anything that you feel like, do you guys have the habit of sticking to like New Year's resolutions, or trying to motivate yourself to do something, or are you like being realistic and saying like, okay, like the date doesn't matter, I can start anytime, and then don't do it?
I tend to, instead of picking New Year as a date, I tend to have other sort of milestone dates throughout the year that are, they are, the flexible moving dates as well. I was saying before about finishing my medication for my nose. Use that as a milestone then for changing from one thing to doing something else. Rather than having a arbitrary end of the year new start sort of thing. So I do a few of them over the course of the year for various things. I think that tends to work a little bit better for me, or makes it more likely that I'll stick to them.
I think the problem is really with like not starting. I think New Year's is a good way to start on things, but sticking to them is the hard part. So
yeah, I wanted to say
building long-term habits, isn't
it? You can. I think it will only help you to do something for the first few times because the date was there, right? Yeah. But once the date is gone, that's just gone. I mean, I've been in a gym for too many years to see this happening, right? The first 2 months of the year, it's really packed, and you stand there and
not
say,
looking forward to that.
could you just all leave? Like 80% of you won't be here in March, so I would just like to do my training. It's odd, yeah, but I think
it's tradition, though, isn't it? Again, it's that traditional thing. Christmas particularly is often a time of excess for people. I mean, I picked up a few things this afternoon, click and collect from the supermarket. So there were, I think it was about 3 or 4 carrier bags with stuff in it. The car just down from me, they must have filled their car with stuff. Yeah, I mean, literally, the guy brought my stuff out on a trolley, and it was, I think, six baskets, and none of them were full. And the one just down, it must have had close to 20 baskets. I don't know how full they were. But there was a lot of stuff, and so it's got the element of excess at Christmas, which people then feel guilty about in the kind of the week with kind of New Year. It is that kind of, well, it's a new year, new start. That's kind of sort of traditional thing. But of course, they're launching into what is often seen as one of the worst months of the year, kind of from an emotional and point of view. Yeah, you get the kind of what's it, Blue Monday or whatever they call it.
Monday,
that sort of day that's kind of considered one of the worst. So people kind of, they go at it kind of with, I've got to lose some weight, I've got to get fitter, I've got to become better, I've got to play the piano every day or play guitar every day.
Alcohol and
and
all of it together.
A few weeks in, and because there's no base, because they've gone too much too soon. Like all the people that will decide, right, I'm going to get a pair of running shoes and I'm going to go running, and the first day they go out and they can't, they don't get very far, but then they pick up a I don't know, couch to 5K sort of app on their phone, and they run too much. They don't read the little bit that says, if you feel a bit uncomfortable, go back from running to walking. So they run a couple of times, and they end up with so much delayed onset muscle soreness the next day. They can't even bear to think about going out again because they hurt too much. And the same with the gym.
Yeah, and it also leads back to frustration, right? So you're trying it, and then you I don't know, skip a day or two, and then all your motivation is lost again, and you just feel more and more frustrated. And it's like,
you can't build a habit if you're breaking the habit all the time, or you're building bad associations with that habit.
Little bits and bytes.
Yeah, the one that always makes me laugh is where you've got someone that'll go, it's middle of November, at New Year I'll do this. It's like, just start now, or start Monday. Why wait until the end of the year before you're allowed to start doing something?
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be a crutch, I think.
For me, because I spent so long, teaching, or obviously it was all my years of school, then all the years of university, then all the years, I had a few years in industry, but then kind of 20 odd years in school again. The year for me almost starts in September, and still does. I mean, I've still got kids in school, so it's kind of still kind of September is quite a time where there's been numerous times when I've sort of changed jobs. Normally, when teachers change jobs, it's September. And that kind of gives you a kind of a fresh start, and kind of it's quite a nice. You can do things like reinvent yourself. So after my first school, I shouted too much, and I was known as the guy that shouted, and it wasn't good. It wasn't healthy. It wasn't a good behaviour management system. But when I went to my next school, they're like, I don't have to shout anymore. I can, but I don't have to. And there was no expectation. There was no kind of, why does he stop shouting or anything like that? It was just didn't need to do it. So you can kind of reinvent yourself when you kind of have those changes. I think that can be quite important. But I still fall into, because again, as a kid and all the time of what's your New Year's resolutions. So I still have that kind of thing of what can I do different next year? Will I make some YouTube videos next year? Because I think I only made one or two this year. Actually, it might have been just one. And there's things like having just done the treasure trade. I made a book again. So as you both know, you've had notebooks from me. I made a notebook. I made it different. I did some different things, and it was like, this is the first. Actually, because I made 6 books altogether. So, this is the first time I've done some bookbinding this year. It's like, I'm not happy with that. I'm not happy with the fact that this is the only time I've done any bookbinding this year. So
but I like the approach. Maybe that's a better way to do it. Is instead of setting like a gazillion goals for next year, is maybe
unachievable. Yeah.
No, maybe better look back on the year and like look through what you've achieved actually. And I know quite a few people who do sort of like a New Year's
reflection.
Yeah, like a reflection, but they have an actual. It's like a few sheets of paper where they write in what they did then, what they achieved, what maybe even what their goals are for next year, but just like very general. And I always like this, looking back at projects, what you did this year, or maybe even reflect on how like certain relationships changed, or friendships, or who you got to know better, or what you got to see. Like I used to do like all these when concerts were still allowed. I was looking through. Okay, I went to this concert and like made a ranking of the concerts that I went to. So, I mean, these days it's like same as Spotify wrapped up year thingy, I guess. But that's just annoying in my mind.
I think there was a book that's called Tiny Habits, and I think the thought alone of the title of the book makes so much more sense to me than doing these steps that seem to be like just too hard. You can't just say, okay, I'll start next year and I'm going to lift 200 kilos, right? I mean, that's physically not going to work. What you can do though is say, I want to do more sports, and more sports has the great advantage that it doesn't mean much more than just a bit more, right? So if you did something this year and you promise yourself to add a bit on top, that's very reachable. That's super hard to get stressed about. That's super hard to actually fail on, because it's not a crazy change, right? It's like, for example, if you say, okay, I'm going to, that's a special case, but I'm going to stop smoking at the 1st of January, right? What that promise or that resolution means is you're going to inflict yourself with a very hard time, psychological battle against your demons of being addicted and all that stuff, right? So,
not to mention the fact that you'll probably spend the week or two beforehand doing more just to
cover up, right?
to enjoy it more before you
make
start.
sure there are no cigarettes left in the house. Yeah,
and all that stuff, right? The way, for example, the way I stopped smoking was basically that I made the decision for myself, and I didn't tell anyone. And that has I think in general that has a great effect on yourself, because there's this, I forgot the name of what there was a name for this effect, but psychologically, the more you talk about something, the more of the responsibility you give away, right? So
that makes sense.
That effect can't happen then, right? And if you just tell yourself, I'm going to be a bit better than I'm now, that gradual increasing of like doing more for yourself, and I hope that's part of your resolutions, is doing more for yourself in one way or the other, and not like some I don't know, stuff that is meaningless to you. But the resolutions thing, I think, will get much easier if you don't like make goals that are quite unachievable.
I think it's quite an individual thing, I think, as well, though, isn't it? Because some people need that personal accountability to say, hey, guys, I'm giving up smoking from this date.
Exactly.
So
and then it takes as many people as they can, right?
Yeah, so they've got that, people can hold them accountable there. Whereas other people don't need that so much. Like you say, you can just go, I'm doing this for me because it affects me and it's my decision.
I'd like to discuss the just part, but yes, it's super hard. Yeah.
And if you're failing, no one will know it anyways, right?
Exactly.
Correct.
So that is the counterpoint to it, is then if you make everyone aware, you can be then more public. If you have some obvious reason or excuse that you can displace your failure onto, this is the reason why, rather than just I couldn't do it,
maybe on unpopular opinion here. I don't think telling as much people as you can is actually something that helps you in the process of the psychological, I'm going to stop my addiction. I think what that does is it's changing external effects.
Yes.
But that's not what's keeping you to it, really. I don't think.
No, I agree, yeah. It's just another... It's another coping strategy, I think. You know, it's a backup option. You know, you can say, "Oh, if I can't do it myself, knock that cigarette out of my hand if you see it," or take that biscuit out of my hand. Or
I haven't been in that situation where I had to like quit an addiction or something, but what I can imagine is maybe if you have like one partner, like one friend, or maybe even your significant other, and you both have the same goal.
Yes,
of
absolutely.
Like, I don't know, losing weight together, or quitting smoking, or I don't know, whatever it is, learning a language, for example. It can be something like entirely like positive.
And you can talk about it together, right?
And you can talk about it, and you can keep yourself on track and motivate each other to keep going.
Definitely, yeah.
I think like most things in life, it's really quite complex, and I've read some of the same research, Kjell, that you're referring to about kind of not sharing because you change how that goal will be. But I also know darn well that when I had partners to go to the gym with, I would go to a gym because my partner was like, "Yeah, we're off to the gym, aren't we?" Yeah, because I didn't want to let my gym partner down. And that was very motivating, even on the days when I didn't, and vice versa with them. It'd be those days like, unless there was kind of serious illness or injury, you'd kind of go, "What do you mean you can't be bothered? No, we're going to the gym. Come on." And if you've got that kind of relationship with someone where you can kind of,
you're right, yeah,
hold them accountable and keep them going, but it's finding that right person to do that.
Absolutely.
It's not necessarily going to work with anyone, and there is that kind of element of, well, if I wonder actually if it's maybe something to do with like introversion and extroversion. I think you're right, and I think it's very much true that if you can set yourself a goal and you achieve it for yourself, that is definitely going to be the strongest thing. But particularly with something where you're trying to generate a habit, maybe having people hold you accountable then becomes a habit which you then become, well, this is just now the thing I do. And
maybe that's just opposite. Maybe for an introvert, the outside pressure is more helpful, and for an extrovert, like keeping it to yourself. No?
Or maybe the other way around. I mean, it's such a the mind is such a complex thing.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's based on so many factors. It's not just our minds, but our experiences, our memories, our locations, our situations. The relationships that we're in, the responsibilities that we have. All these sort of different things impact us. They are us. They kind of they form us, and so any change to that might require something extrinsic. It might require something intrinsic, and that will be for different people. I mean, as a teacher, I know full well that some students were just so intrinsically motivated to learn. It doesn't matter what situation that they were in. It doesn't matter how disruptive other members of the class were. It doesn't matter how poor perhaps the teacher is. They will still learn and they will still do extremely well. And there are other people who will perform extremely well because of extrinsic motivators. Sometimes where you get kind of get students coming in and they kind of go, "Oh yeah, my dad said if I get an A, I'll get 50 quid. If I get a B, I'll get 30 quid. If I get all A's, he's going to give me an extra £500." It's like, and they suddenly work really, really hard because there's that prospect of several £100s of reward money for having done well. And
see, that's the issue. I like with me, I have a lot of trouble motivating myself for something that I don't find beneficial for myself, or that I would think, like coming back to the extremes that I was talking about earlier. I know for a fact that if I would get into, for example, video gaming, which is like not a task, so to say, but if I would get into that, I would go all in, and I would spend all my time on that and get really obsessive with it. So I would rather like not play at all because I can't do the the balance, right?
Yeah, I
And
don't
the
play
same-
games. I
And
don't
the
play
same,
games.
I love playing games, but
Yeah.
it's hard for me just to do a little bit of it. So,
Yeah.
but
And
the
there are
other
games
problem is
designed to not work if you just do a little bit, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
For me, it's just a waste of time. And the same thing, which is so stupid. The same thing I feel about stuff that would benefit me in a way of, if I would learn that, it would be really, really cool. Like coming back to the school stuff. If I would feel like, oh my God, I would never need physics ever in my life, my brain just shuts off. I don't want to learn it, so I don't learn it, right? I can't. I'm really struggling with like motivating myself and remembering the stuff that I have to learn because I have to learn it, right? I have to learn it to get the degree. But I'm struggling because I don't want to actually learn it because it's not interesting to me. And it's like, oh, fuck it. It's I don't know.
I think that's quite a common thing, isn't it? Because when you've got things that people are wanting to learn as skills or things like that. I know, like I've wanted to learn, coding and stuff like Arduino and those kind of things.
And piano and guitar and scroll sawing and lasers and all the things. I want to learn all the things, but yeah.
Yeah, things like, coding is incredibly accessible to me in my profession. But it's something that I don't know. But I need the little bits of coding that I have learned have been when I've had a specific task to do. And it's been a good friend, Kjell, there, who's sort of guided me and whipped me into shape. And I know that something like Arduino, I could absolutely pick all of the skills up. But I don't have that motivation to actually learn it at any other point. If I sit down and go, right, well, I've got an hour now, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to learn some Arduino stuff. I sit down and then I find an hour's worth of other stuff that needs doing.
That's the thing.
Because it's kind of higher on the list for me.
Yeah, you always have something
you're married too,
that you prioritize, right?
Yeah.
So I had trouble, like I was keen on learning like Spanish and Japanese and stuff like that, but every time I tried to get really into it, I had something better to do, so to say. Yeah. I couldn't focus on the thing that I actually wanted to learn somehow, because there was something else in my brain that kept me from concentrating on that. So it's the same with learning new skills or tools or whatever. Anything, I love learning everything about like making and tools and stuff like that. But I know for a fact that I will never be a professional welder or woodworker or something, because that's not like my priority. Right?
Yeah. But I can guarantee you'll pick up enough welding to pass what you need to do. If someone says build this big structure for us that needs supporting internally, like a massive horse, for instance, you'll pick up enough woodworking skills or enough welding skills and metalwork skills to be able to achieve what you need to achieve. You might not then take that to the point where you can get a welding qualification at the end of it, but if you then need to do something similar down the line, you've got, it's kind of learning a little bit at a time over multiple projects then, isn't it? You kind of...
Yeah, but you can't do that with language, for example.
Exactly.
I was in Barcelona a few weeks ago and for work, and while I was there, I remembered bits and bobs. I could order food, I could communicate quite a bit, but it was really frustrating because I couldn't like talk fluently to the people.
Yeah.
So,
I
but
get
in order
exactly
to
the same
change
thing.
that, I need to really sit down and do the work.
And
That's
it's
so much.
what Andy said before with like musical instruments. Like I grew up in a very musical household. I can't play a thing. You know, I mean, at one point or another, I've played bits of guitar, piano, bass, and a couple of other bits. But I mean, if you put a guitar in my hand now, I wouldn't know which end to blow into. They're just alien things to me. But at the same time, it's like I'd love to be able to play them. You know, like going up visiting my family, and they'll just, you know, pick up a random guitar and start playing a song, just for fun and enjoyment. That's their kind of tinkering, and that baffles me because then in my head I'm going, well, I need to then not do a load of other things and then sit and do that for hours every day. And I get the same thing with like doing cardio exercise. You know, if someone says, "Oh, go for a run or go for a cycle or something like that," if there's not a destination or a thing I have to go and do there, or I can't do something else while I'm doing it, for me then it's just it's the same sort of thing like we were saying, you know, the kid before. You know, it's just it's go and sit on an exercise bike and move your legs for an hour. That to me then is just that's an hour of torture, not because of the physical exercise, but the not doing anything else. You know, when I was doing indoor bike for my back and things, it was what can I do while I'm sitting here having to move my legs? You know, there must be other things I can do.
I think that's one of the bigger problems with being so fortunate to have all the options, right? If you have options you like more, you're more likely to do them, and I think that's really just fine. I don't think there's anything we should really do about it, because that's what personal preference comes down to, right? I mean, if you would actually see value and would like to really learn playing the guitar, I'm 100% sure you would. You would just do it, right?
That's the thing, though. Like the only thing
Exactly.
we probably should not do is feel guilty about it.
Exactly, and that's the point I wanted to get to. The only problem here is you thinking you should have done it, although you know you decided somewhat consciously about doing something different instead, and that's really fine.
Yeah, I think as well, for something like welding or woodwork or coding, they are things that you can get a good, rewarding return experience relatively quickly. You know, they are transferable skills from other things that will get you a step forward. But something like, you know, building up, you know, the whole idea of a couch to 5K run thing, you know, you do that over the course of several weeks because it's something you can only do slowly over time. And you can only learn to play a musical instrument over time and practice. And you can only learn a language by spending time practicing that language. But you can learn to weld in an afternoon with a good teacher. There is enough that you can walk away from that at the end of that afternoon and go, I can weld something now.
But wait a second, I think what we can do here is, I mean, at least if you want to try and compare apples with apples, obviously you could learn in an afternoon how to order food in a language, or how to say hi, or right. You won't learn like welding in an afternoon, right? There's like 4 different types, at least for cutting, and then for the welding process itself, and then the different gases and different thicknesses, and I mean, it's a trade to learn. There is a master of a welder, right? So, well, welding as we define it is pushing a trigger of a MIG gun, right? That's it. But that's obviously not welding, and I guess that's the same thing for for language, right? If you want to master it, you have to train for years on end. And really, I think if you're super keen on learning the language, for example, going out every night in the city where that's the native language would help you a ton more. And then if you do it, you would learn crazy fast.
And I think that's the same. It's completely analogous then to stuff like having a gym buddy. You know, if you've got like a friend who speaks that language, something like, you know, learning French would be fantastic to have a chat with Red, or for us learning German to have a chat with you guys, or for you guys learning English to have a chat with us. You know, it's that kind of thing of it's practicing those skills, isn't it? You know, so
yeah, there's such thing as it's called a tandem partner, especially in languages, where you teach each other the language basically.
Like a speaking buddy, or cool.
But it comes down to the individual. I mean, there are people who are very skilled when it comes to learning languages, which can pick them up really easy and just comes naturally to them. And some people are having more trouble with that. I mean,
my wife is like that.
Yeah, it's just the way it goes, I guess. And the same with musical instruments. I mean, my father is quite musical, but I tried it with several instruments, and I know for a fact that it's not coming easy to me, and that I decided at some point that it's probably better for me if I just enjoy it, like from the outside instead.
Exactly.
And that's something to be aware of as well. I think that you don't need to do everything, that you can as well just enjoy other things and enjoy other skills of people, I guess. So you don't have to force yourself, like pushing growing up. Probably everyone has that problem, like, oh, I want to be this, I want to do that. Or you see someone, I don't know, skydiving, and suddenly you have the life goal, I want to be a professional skydiver, because you've seen someone else do it, right? But
I think as well, if you intrinsically don't have a natural talent for learning something, like because I don't feel I'm particularly good at languages, but when I interact with someone who is very good at languages, to me that is awe-inspiring. That is magical. And same for anything else that I don't feel I have the skills in, but I think is magical, like sculpture or production art or music. You know, there are things that I don't feel skilled or talented enough. I could probably, you know, spend time and learn to be passable at them, but it would be a large amount of time and input and effort from me. So there are things
the issue is, would you enjoy it then?
And that is exactly it. And it's one of those things that I don't think I would enjoy the process of getting skilled enough. I don't think I would enjoy that enough to put that above the other things that I do. So for me, then it's more a case of I can enjoy seeing my friend make a massive sculpture or something and go, holy crap, that's amazing! I couldn't do that.
That's the point,
that
though.
Is
like
magic.
I get a lot of comments from people who are like, oh, I wish I could do that, or I want to do that, and like genuine emails from people who want to learn that and stuff like that, and that at some point in their life they took a different path and they decided on taking on other skills. And I'm always like open about it and say, like, you can do it if you actually want to put in the time and effort to proceed with that. But it's a long way, and it will take up all of your time, right? It's nothing that you can either do it. You can do it as a hobby. I mean, of course, you can take some Sculpey home and just fiddle around with it and be happy with that. That's the joy of hobbies, I guess. And the same for musicians. I mean, I envy everyone who's just playing their guitar at home and totally in peace and happy with that. That's beautiful, I think.
Yeah.
But if you have the goal of being like a professional musician on stage and selling millions of records, you actually have to put the time and effort into it, and like it doesn't like just fly to you, right? You have to work for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think a lot of people expect something just to come to them in a way, and are not maybe don't want to put the work into it, and then get disappointed because they just see that someone else maybe achieved that goal, but they don't know what was their path on getting there, right?
That is absolutely it. And I know that's something I'm hugely guilty of looking at something, and like I said before, that kind of that knowledge that I could put time and effort in and become good enough for what I want to be able to do, but that I know I wouldn't enjoy the process of getting to there. I'd like to be able to just go, I'm going to do this now, and then be good at it. And it doesn't work like that. I think I would say I'm good enough in what I do as a career, but I've been doing that for 19 years. And I didn't just pick that up last week. Sorry.
Go ahead, Kjell.
I think it's still possible to switch that to something that if you changed, right, and you have the passion and willingness and interest and drive to do something else, I still think you could switch, right?
Absolutely.
Totally, yeah.
For example, this whole programming thing, when we started to look into it, and I tried to come up with a few basics. I think the main problem, what I said in the very beginning, is if we don't have a goal to work towards too, and the willingness of everybody to like invest the same time as in CAD, that's gonna be hard. It's not going to work, right?
But those foundations that you gave us, then they've helped me since then to learn stuff and pick up stuff. Like you and I have had obviously offline conversations anyway, where I've been then sort of telling you about bits that I'm learning for work. And it's like, so I'm trying to do this. I'm writing this thing because I need to solve this problem. And then you'll, in usual Kjell fashion, you're like, let me know if you need any help. I can do this, and I can do this with you. I can help you do this, and I can, give you this wealth of information as you so lovingly do. But then I'm sort of going, but I can do this now. I've learned to do this thing, and you're like, super happy for me, and it's like, well, you gave me that. You gave me the ability to do that. But I did it. I wrote that one line of code.
I mean, that's the same for the vice versa, right? I learned how to use Fusion effectively to actually do construction work and make myself some decent plans to build stuff off of and all that stuff. But the problem with this whole easy to begin with, hard to master thing is how much of the mastery are you actually going to want to
It's the 80-20 rule, isn't it? It's that kind of...
And that's fine. The problem with IT, though, or software development, in my opinion, the problem is the 80-20 rule applies, but the market is screaming for people. So the 80% that only went in for the 20%, they still get good paying jobs, and that's why IT is shit, basically. And yeah, it's kind of sad because if you actually long for idiomatic code and like clean code and elegant solutions to problems, I guess, right? In this manner, it just hurts a bit to have only people on auto-tune singing, right? That just sucks.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I could rant about that topic for days on end, because that's something I've seen in in various aspects of IT and in CAD over my years being in those industries, of things becoming more accessible for the masses. But then what that's meant is, because there is a shortfall of people doing the jobs, more of those people are getting into positions where they're not necessarily as qualified as they perhaps need to be. As that sort of bar for entry has had to lower at the same time as everything has become more accessible. So people can do the work for decent money, but not understand why or how. And then when something goes wrong, they don't know why.
The only thing is, to me, if you would like to get better and if you want to achieve mastery, there's really no excuse anymore to not do it, right?
Yeah.
Because especially for what's making this possible, the industry, the technology that really does exactly that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every freaking bit of knowledge is out there. You can learn it all, right? You can build another, let's say, web scale search engine from scratch in your freaking household on an 8-year-old computer. No freaking problem. But are you willing to do it is the question, right? And that's like full circle back to the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess it's fine if you're not.
Yeah. Sometimes it's also that learning. One of the things that numerous schools have done in the UK and probably elsewhere is try to establish means by which you take a student at the age of 11 and you can assign them what are often referred to as flight paths of how they're going to achieve till the age of 16 or 18, depending on which exams you're looking at. And you can kind of fit them to a kind of a curve. And quite often these are kind of, they're linear relationships. And it's like, but people don't learn in linear ways. And particularly groups of people don't learn in linear. Some people, yes, it will be a nice steady progression of learning. For some people, they're going to struggle to start with, and then really sort of make sort of good gains. Other people, they'll make quick gains, but then plateau off. And other people are going to go, they're roundabout, up, down, a little bit, across, around, and eventually get somewhere.
And all that while you have hormones for 3 people, right?
Yeah. And of course you got 30 in a class, all of whom are following a different path. Now, but there's this element of things aren't necessarily linear for people, and there's. Are you familiar with the Taste Gap by Ira Glass? It's that kind of it's worthwhile kind of read or listen. There's a few YouTube videos. I'll find one link into the sort of show notes for when this goes out. But essentially, it's if you kind of, let's say you're interested in learning something, and you kind of go, right, I'm interested in learning about coding, and you kind of start with, well, I don't really know anything about coding. I know kind of what it's used for, and I kind of have an idea of some of the names of jobs. I don't necessarily know what that job does, but I want to learn a little bit about coding. So you kind of you go, right, I'll go on a beginner's coding course. Or maybe you pick up an Arduino or a microbit and kind of, that's a way into code. As you start learning a little bit about code, you kind of start learning kind of, what a variable is, or, how you kind of structure a basic piece of code, how you maybe think about an algorithm. And you sort of start off with a sort of basic ideas. And once you kind of, you get into there and you kind of, you maybe pick up a few skills. But what you also suddenly realize is that you're now learning more, and you realise how little you know. And there's this gap between what you can do and what you know you should be able to do. And sometimes that chasm can be quite difficult. It's like if daunting. Like painting. You spend years going, just days, weeks, months, doesn't matter, going into a gallery, and you kind of really admire these sort of paintings, which of course are the best of the best. Or you're on Instagram and you're looking at people's photographs or their pictures they've drawn, and then you kind of go, well, I want to learn to take these photographs, or I want to learn to draw or paint. And you start off with, and what you're producing is nothing like those things you're seeing. And so there's this gap in kind of what you know should be good stuff, but you can't yet produce. And that can be, that gap can be just unsurmountable for some people.
Yeah.
Particularly if there isn't. I mean, like you say, yeah, it really helps if you've got a need to do something. So yeah, the first time I did a kitchen in a house, we couldn't afford to get our kitchen. It was yeah, we bought a house cheap, as you do when you first kind of move into somewhere with someone. It needed work. It was all we could afford. It needed a lot of work. It's like there were certain things we had to get people in to do. Yeah, there was some damp at the front of the house. We had to get it replastered and things like that. And it was like, right, we need somebody in to do that. It's like the kitchen. It was functional. We could do, yeah, we could cook, but it needed changing. It was like, okay, how much does it cost to get a kitchen done? Oh, all right, can't afford that. Yeah. Oh, we can buy the stuff. We can buy carcasses or flat pack. We can buy flat pack cabinets. That's cheaper than buying carcasses already made. And yeah, can we do that? Well, yeah, we've put together wardrobes. Can't be any different to putting together a wardrobe or a set of drawers. What about things like worktops and things? So the first kitchen we had, somebody else did the worktops. Put it all in, and somebody else came in and did the worktops. It's like, oh, well, I watched him do that. It didn't seem that difficult. So yeah, the next, I think the next time we actually had somebody do the worktops as well. Actually, no, the first time I just used kind of little metal plates that kind of butt it, and it didn't look very good. So the second time we got somebody in to do it, it's like, that's how you do it. You need one of those jigs and a big router. Yeah, it's like, so third kitchen, right, big router, big jig. Yeah, did it myself. And you've got that purpose of needing to do something, and you kind of go, well, yeah, can I do it? When you need to do something, it's so much.
That is your motivation, then, isn't it?
The motivation to learn something is so much better than just wanting to do something.
I think one thing that always gets overestimated is already knowing how to do something. It's kind of funny. I don't know how you think about it, but in the last years, I had so many occasions of me just saying, yes, I'll do it, and have no freaking clue about how to do it. Right? But then figure it out. And since I made the decision, I'm very motivated to get it done the right way and properly, so to say. Right? And then you already have something to work towards and know you want to achieve. So learning to do it is actually... So the motivator is there once you said yes, right? And my wife always said, why... You can pretty much do all the things. So for you, it's also not hard to do it. And I'm like, that's not exactly true. I have no clue what I'm doing, right? I'm just telling you I'll do it. Not that I can already. And then I'll figure out how. And well, guess what? Sometimes I'm failing, of course. But I think motivation is really the key there. And sometimes, at least for me, I learned about myself that it's enough to just say yes without having any clue, and then having to learn it because I already said yes, and that's also kind of a nice trick to me.
It's probably the maker gene speaking there. I guess.
Yeah, I mean, of course.
Because a lot of people would just say, I don't know how to do it, I will not do it, right? I will get someone in to do it.
Yeah. We one golden rule in the Haus 3 I'm volunteering at is if somebody comes in and wants to build something and it's not like properly undoable, which is really pretty never the case, the golden rule is they do it themselves, right? So whatever you can help them with, you'll do. If they don't know how to use a tool, you show them. If they blah blah blah, right? All these things, but the actual doing part they have to do themselves. So if it's not like machinery that cuts like limbs off or something, that's what we'll do for them, so they don't. But everything else they are supposed to do themselves, right? And that's so cool because it's not what happens in that room that day, it's what they take with them, and that's not the furniture. They know, if I leave here, I built this myself, right? The important part. And now I can do that. So if somebody else says, hey, what do you think? Could I build this cupboard? they are pretty likely to say yes. Why? Because they made it as well, and they thought they couldn't.
Yeah.
Right? So the cool part is it's very infectious to always say yes to things and just do them. So that's how I try to tackle it most of the time. Just say yes first. That helps
figure it out later.
Like the long run, right? And then you're motivated to do it the right way anyways. And if you do it for the first time, you can still say, I don't know how, it's the first time, I'll try. But you said yes already.
I would like one kind of opinion from you guys on something. Do you ever see something like so well done that it demotivates you in a way?
Yeah.
That you think,
Yeah.
okay, not like you can have both, right? You can have, okay, I want to make something like this as well as a motivation starter, or you can look at something and go, okay, I will never be able to do that. I will rather not even try to achieve that.
I think it's most of the time this way for me, to be honest.
But is it
with craft stuff, right? If you don't get me wrong, what I'm thinking about is, for example, products from Alex Poe, right?
Yeah.
I'll never fucking try to achieve that, right? I'll do my own version of something similar in the shape or kind, right? But no way, probably never. But I still think it's really worth trying.
That's the point, though. Does it?
Right?
Does it? It still motivates you seeing that beautiful thing that he made.
Absolutely, but I never tried that. I think that's the key for me. I will not
try
try
your own version
exactly.
of it. In a sense,
I'm not trying to reach that. I'm not trying to aim that high. I'm just saying, well, that also exists, and I can try and I aim up here, right? Better than I was before, so to say.
Yeah. But I guess there is a lot of people out there who see something and maybe they really love it, but unless they are not able to reach that kind of like quality or something, right? They won't try at all. They will rather just scrap it and enjoy it.
I think that's immensely common. I think that's really, really, really common.
And the point is just young people do not get frustrated about that part. It's like you can, as I said earlier with music, I enjoy music. I love music. I love concerts. But I don't get frustrated by the thought of not being able to do that. Right? So
yeah, it's that acceptance, isn't it, of being able to go, it's not a skill I can do anytime soon, or it's not a skill I want to dedicate the time and energy to learn. You know, I suppose in essence it's the same, or at least a similar thing with some makers, where they might go, I need one of these for a project, but I can't do that well enough. But I can speak to the person who inspires me and see if they can, you know, I can commission it from them, or, you know, things like that.
Yeah, I think there's also this difference between you see something that's virtually unreachable and you don't have any skills to try and do anything like similar, and you can just accept that and respect the craft and like admire the beauty of it, right? In the musical sense, for me that is exactly identical, right? I'm not the super crazy music fan. I listen to music a lot, but it's mostly not like the primary thing I do. So I couldn't play anything, right? There is no thing I can play. I can blow into a flute, I guess, but that's it. And that wouldn't be anything nice.
Well, that's pretty good, because playing a flute or blowing into a flute and getting a note out is pretty tricky.
Exactly, but that one that comes out by default, that I can do. No, what I mean is, like, if you don't own any skills of that kind, and admiring and respecting and seeing beauty in what some musicians are able to do, to me it's something completely different than to say, hey, I've built myself a forge, I do have an anvil, I can heat metal hot so I can forge it. I'll never achieve something of that quality anyways, right? To me that's different things, right? Because there's one you couldn't even try and you're fine with it, and the other one, which is I think for many people more frustrating than me, is you would know how to technically like produce a thing in theory, but you wouldn't ever try to do it because you know it wouldn't be of that quality.
Yeah. I mean,
Right?
I think that's sort of, it's the physicist and the car, isn't it? You know, if you've got a physicist at the side of the road with a broken down car, they can tell you exactly in detail how every single part of that vehicle works. But hand them a spanner and won't be able to fix it. You know, it's that sort of. I wonder as well. With the Dunning-Kruger Effect, I think it's Dunning-Kruger Effect, where you've got that kind of, when you start learning something and it sort of drops, and then you think you know everything, and then you realise you don't know anything, and then you start to, that kind of wibbly graph thing. I wonder if
it's normally associated just with those people who kind of learn a little, but then think they know everything, and the Earth is flat, and vaccines don't work. Yeah,
or teenagers, as they also sort of the parallel with. But I wonder if there's an aspect of that with that maker gene, for people who are generally pretty good at transferring skills. I've learned a bit of sewing, so I can now do a little bit of woodwork because it's a similar thing, and because I can do sewing and woodwork because it's joining big flat surfaces, I can do some leather work, and because I can do that, I can do some welding. It's having an idea enough about one particular set of tools or materials or skills, and then applying those to a different medium, a different trade, if you like. I wonder if there's an aspect of that which might make us more prone to not attempting something if we've gone down a particular path and know it's difficult, and don't think that those transferable skills are going to allow us to do something well enough.
I'm only going to speak for myself, but I just had to look up, for anybody that doesn't know the Dunning-Kruger Effect. I just looked it up. So it's basically a graph, right, where you have self-confidence and you have time and experience, right? And that thing goes like, at the very beginning, you have no experience, right? And you have a lot of self-confidence, and then it drops down into a valley, right? Oh my God, this is never going to happen. I'm really stupid, right? And then your experience grows, and it rises again to your experience, and and blah blah blah. So for me, I think I'm just riding the dumbness peak, right? So because I honestly, I'm very self-confident because I don't know enough, right? So I'm going up there, and then I'm just going to jump off of it to the next thing. I can really rise again, and then rise again, and then rise again. I'm just never going into this. I'm super frustrated. This will never work thing, right? And I'm just
like a dumb plateau.
Yeah, exactly, the dumb plateau, and say, hey, maybe it's good that way. That I'm just trying to not get too frustrated, because I can rather switch to the next thing I'm going to enjoy, and said yes to, and motivate myself to learn a bit more. So I'm just, I don't know. Maybe
you don't give yourself enough time to realize that you don't have enough time to hit that well of despair because you've
moved on
jumped on to the next thing. Yeah.
I just can't allow myself to realize I never learned that much anyway. But it's fine for me right now.
If you keep spinning those plates, as long as they keep spinning a little bit, you're good enough.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think it's pretty much of a very, very nice, personal. How do you say it? If you are able to actually appreciate other people's work without being jealous or without being envious, that's a very nice thing to have, I guess. So I can totally, it's so nice if you can just look at someone else's work and just be like, this is really fucking amazing. I love it. And also tell that to the person, right? Without sounding bitter or salty or anything.
Quite easy with you, Caro, I have to admit.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
For me, it's exactly that. I can 100% admire your work and tell that to you and like respect the shit out of what you can do. And I know I wouldn't ever be able to, right? That's
But there's that comparison.
I'm quite chill about it, I think.
You could do it. I reckon, Kjell, if you could do it, if you just decided to focus on it and put in the equivalent number of hours.
Correct.
Really
put 20 years of your life
maybe
into
you're
it.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
and
you're right.
That's the problem. Like you mentioned Alex Pohl, and if you listen to him he was on Full Blast podcast this last week. Yeah, and,
I didn't listen yet.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to listen. I have to admit I generally don't listen every week, but if there's somebody I know, then I'll tend to kind of listen to it. So I listen, and I heard some new things and small things, but if you've listened to kind of him talk in the past, you'll know that he's been working with metal for 30 years. So what we see when we see the Forge, when we see the things they make, yes, there's Joe and Steve and the other guys in the Forge team, but the creative brain mostly there is Alex. It's his name on the letterheads, his name on the bills, it's his name on over the Forge.
It's his logo on my t-shirt.
Yeah. And we go. I couldn't make that. I can do my own thing. That's fine. But what you're trying to compare is your relatively small number of years of working with metal to his 30 years dedicated to metal.
No, I don't think that's the case, really. I realize he put in 30 years, and I'm not going to be able to do it. Right? I'm fully aware of I will never be able to do it because I will not invest 30 years of craftsmanship and passion and all that. Right?
But even if you would be a professional blacksmith, right? You could still be able to appreciate other people's work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's a very good thing to keep in mind, or to also communicate with on social media or something. If you are within the same field of craft, just comment on other people's work and like, oh man, this sculpture, for example, it blows my mind. It's so good, and do that in a very genuine way, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's.
And I think a lot of people will be more on the other side, with being like bitter about it, like it's not that good even.
Yeah, totally.
To make themselves feel better, or what? I don't know.
Well, I think that's exactly it, though, isn't it? Is the willingness and the want to bolster your peers, to share other people who are good at things. I think there's a bit of a mentality with some areas of the maker community where it's it's climbing up the pyramid sort of thing. It's you've got to kind of push everyone out the way and get to the top and whatever else. Whereas I think other aspects of it tend to be collaborations or things that are, like you say, sort of enriching the kind of the other people doing the same thing as you. It's shining more light onto it. It's bringing more attention to a particular craft or a particular group of people. I think that is one of those things that is much more beneficial in the long run for everyone.
You remember, Caro, when we were in Hanover and Laura on the panel talk like grabbed the mic from the other guy and said, well, because he said it, and he's like, yeah, because now there's competition. She grabbed his mic and said, no, there's no competition. Right? That was so cool. I always remember this when it's about that kind of thing. I do think so too. I think it's so much more about empowerment than competition.
Alex on Full Blast makes a really good point. I think it was Alex that said this. I listen to so many podcasts and also mix them up. But it's like if you're a candle and you think of another, and you're lit and you're producing some good stuff, and there's another candle. If you light that candle, you're still lit, and now there's twice as much light. and so much more gets produced from that. It's not like
really
if I
nice
light a
analogy.
candle, I get put out. You're not. You share the flame, and you can both give off light as well as the other.
Yeah, I mean, I've experienced like the complete opposite when I started out, basically, where people actually do not want to see you succeed, and I think that's a very, very bad and sad thing to happen. And I still don't really get the point of it, because I mean, there's enough space for everyone, I guess, and it's the beauty of like learning from other people and sharing experiences, and it's way better than putting other people down that
Absolutely.
are technically within your same peer group, right? So but that's like maybe the professional kind of thing, like the competition part within certain industries or something, where I don't know, we don't share our secrets.
I think it's a bit like the people that never would give you their homework, right? Because they would have it's kind of funny, because they would have seen any value in keeping it. For me, it was always quite the opposite, right? I learned my bit, I'm done with the stuff, please have a look. Why would you not share your solutions, right? Or your way to the solution, or anything like that?
It depends on as the ex-teacher and the guy who sometimes did share his homework. It depends on the reasoning for sharing the homework there, isn't it?
If you're looking at someone's homework to check your answers, then that's
to work out how to do something.
That's reasonable.
Wait,
if you just want to copy everything,
that's receiving it, that's you got me wrong. I don't mean the person that's receiving it, because I don't care what they do with it. I don't give a fuck if they check it to their solution, or they want to, I don't know, cheat in a test or whatever. I don't care. It's useless for me. I already made my path through that exercise. I learned what I could from that exercise. I'm done, right? Yeah. Why would I not give it to the next person? I don't get it.
I suppose that's the thing. It's on them. If they just copy what you've done, they don't learn. It doesn't affect you.
Go ahead. I don't care. That's what I mean. You know, it's hair. Why would I not do that? I mean, it's odd to me.
Poor Andy's tearing his hair out.
I don't know. It seems to be funny for so many people. Not only you. I don't know.
Well, I mean, with the homework thing, it's maybe it's a good analogy, but there can also be people who just want to take advantage of you, and that might be a bit of a tricky part.
I've had too many students who do no work and will just get other people's work and copy it.
Go ahead.
That really.
I mean, we do see that in the maker community anyway. It can be quite dangerous for a student, because if the teacher doesn't spot it, and teachers don't always spot it, but if a teacher doesn't spot it, they may then think that student is more capable than they are. They then may make predictions about, so in the UK, for example, there are, with the exams that are done at age 16, some subjects everyone sits the paper. There's one paper, everyone sits it, and it goes from really easy questions to really hard questions, and obviously the more questions you get right, the higher your final grade. For some subjects, such as English, mathematics, the sciences, there's 2 different levels of papers. So you have foundation and higher level papers. So the higher level papers will not have the really easy questions, and the foundation papers will not have the really hard questions. But both of them have a cap. So if you think a student's doing really well, and you think, right, okay, they've done really well on all their homeworks, they've done fantastically. Okay, they're not so good in tests. Maybe they're not so. Maybe it's just the pressure of tests. They don't. Maybe they're cheating in tests as well, and they're getting good scores in tests because they're able to see papers, because you're not in an exam hall. And so you go, right, I'll put them in for the higher paper. Now, if they're not then able to actually achieve that on their own, in conditions where they cannot cheat, they may end up with no grade at all, because there's a cap on the minimum grade. That's still on the student, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, totally, it's on them. I mean, my philosophy on education for students has always been, if you don't want to work, that's fine. I can't make you work. Yeah, even if I can't make you learn. Yeah, even if it was allowed and I was able to hit you, bring back the cane.
Learn harder.
Learn harder and get smacked. I can't force anyone to learn.
No.
Yeah, it's like take a horse to water, you can't make them drink. Yeah, that's that sort of saying. I can't make them learn. They have to want to learn in order to do that. There's no teacher in the land that can make somebody learn if they don't want to learn. Now, obviously, if you're a good teacher, you will hopefully motivate students to want to learn. But sometimes, we discussed earlier, some people just like, I don't see the importance, perhaps, or I only need to get a certain grade, so I'm only going to work enough to get that grade. I'm not going to work all out. And another student might go, I love this subject, I want to study this more, I'm going to work really hard.
Yeah.
Or as opposed to just kind of, I love this subject and I'm really good at it, and therefore I don't need to work because I'm really good at it and I remember it. And so there is that kind of, you have to have that motivation to do something.
Yeah. Again,
but when it comes to, but there is that kind of, if you go back into sort of industry and into kind of business, if I tell you my secret, you might take my customers. If I show you how to do something, I might lose custom. I think that comes from a position of perhaps insecurity. It may not necessarily be knowing that they're insecure. It may be kind of something they're subconsciously not even aware of.
Or if I show you my secret, you'll realise that I'm overcharging you for what I'm actually providing you.
Well, there can be aspects to that as well.
There's many aspects to it, and most probably a lot of greed as well. That's playing a role into this. Hey, I don't want to show you how I do it, right? I mean, there's actually really stuff like intellectual property where it's just stupid to tell somebody else, right? I mean, apart from all the crafts, the whole research that goes into something, and then you want to patent it, and you might reach a bit of safety while the patent is valid and effective in the country you want to be in. That's eventually a good idea, right? But I think in the competitive business world, it's something different.
Like most things, again, complexity of does depend on the individual situation. But if somebody, telling somebody else how to, I mean, the classic one in the maker community of the last few years was the epoxy river table. Telling somebody how to get rid of bubbles in an epoxy river table, or how to get a kind of good bond between the epoxy, or to stop it leaking. Some people wouldn't share that kind of their secrets about how to do that. Like, well, there are other people who are doing it, so why not share? Become more of the community. If you're so worried that somebody who's just picking up the skill is going to make such better tables, boards, whatever, that you're not going to get the business, you're probably not good enough anyway, and they will probably come and overtake you anyway.
Well, that's one guest we've struck off the list then, Andy, isn't it? Potential future guest.
I think
epoxy river table. Yeah.
Although there's a lot of the homework analogy in that's more valid than in the normal business sense, because if you think about the whole world of social media, once you produce your content, your homework is so to say done for you, right? That's exactly what Laura always says as well. When the project is done, it means that I published the video and everything is out, so to say. From that moment onwards, it's utterly useless, right? From that perspective. So if on the social media side, I would always show every freaking bit that I can provide, because first off, it's good for me when somebody else refers to me, right? All the time. There is no negative on that. And the second thing is, the moment I put it out, the content might be better, and the content is made. And then what? I can't use it for anything else anymore. If I'm going to make the content 50 times over the same exact thing, that's not going to be watched anyway. So I'm always only going to produce everything once, and then it's fine to just give it away if you want.
I think it's with like the whole sharing of knowledge and stuff. It's a very individual personality trait as well. Like I've seen it, weirdly enough, with like older generations in my type of field, and I never understood it. I had one colleague who is now in, what do you say it, in pensionated? No.
Retired.
Yeah, sorry. Pensionated. Retired.
I'm keeping
Old
that
age
word.
pensioner.
Yeah, she's in pension, whatever. And the whole time, even when I was an apprentice, she would not share her knowledge, well knowingly that she was not going to work at any other place anytime soon. So she would much rather like take all her skills and knowledge basically to her grave than sharing it with the new generation. And
It's a shame.
it's super, super frustrating because she had like 30, 40 years of experience and she learned from very high skilled people and she knew a lot of stuff, and she was seeing us apprentices or interns struggling with something, and she wouldn't say a thing. She wouldn't tell them how to do it better or how to do it otherwise. And I find that very, very sad in a way.
Yeah.
And then I have the complete opposite colleague who also like recently retired a few weeks ago at another theater that I worked at, and he is my absolute hero. He has the biggest heart in the world, and I swear I only was employed at that place for a couple of months, like 10 years ago, and I keep coming back to him because we get along on a personal level. He is the most charming guy ever, right? Always eating his pickled cucumbers and stuff. Like every day he has the same kind of meal with him, and he would teach me so much, like without me even asking. He was like, "Oh yeah, I can show you this sewing machine." So they had a really old leather sewing machine in their prop shop basically, and he always asked me what kind of stuff I wanted to try out. And even aside from regular working hours, he was like, "Oh yeah, call me whenever you have a question." And he referred me to a stick welder that I then ended up buying because he was like, "Yeah, that's one is good for your purposes, yada yada." And like those extreme opposites of personalities is like what really stuck to me. It's like, why be this person where everyone talks bad about you in the end, like once you're gone? Be the person that everyone's like, "Oh no, he's retired, what are we gonna do?"
There
we
was
can
so
never
much I needed
replace
to learn.
Yeah, we can never replace him. He was a good soul. He was so skilled. He knew all the tricks. So yeah,
But he's
he
passed
was really,
those tricks. He's passed those tricks on to a bunch of other people.
yeah.
So those
he
tricks will
yeah.
move forward through time, and those people will have seen him sharing, and hopefully most will also then go on to share, and
Yeah,
that
definitely.
legacy moves forward. Whereas
Yeah.
the legacy from the other lady, the knowledge will be lost, which is extremely sad. I find it almost offensive, to be honest.
I don't see the sense in it, really. I mean, why?
No, it doesn't move anything forward, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't. And especially with some techniques that would always be just like lost in nowhere, right?
Yeah.
If we come back to the blacksmithing, you have to teach people the craft, otherwise it would get lost.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we are like in the internet times now where we can look everything up basically, but back then, if you wouldn't pass on your knowledge, no one would know what to do, right? That's why you have the journeymanship and the apprenticeship
Exactly,
and
yeah.
all these things, and learn from different people as well because they know different things as well. So it's like, yeah. Sorry, I keep ranting.
No, that's true.
It's waffle. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Waffle time. So yeah, that's why I really love about the maker community is that we are, well, most of us are on that mindset of it's better to share knowledge than to keep it for yourself, and it's better to help out people who are meaning you well, first of all, who don't want to take advantage and who are just interested in learning and personal development as well. So
completely agree.
So is there something kind of going back circle slightly onto kind of the whole goals, New Year type thing? Are the things that you guys want to maybe pick up next year, learn, try, do? Have you got kind of things in mind? I mean, Kjell, you've got the whole
a ton of things.
Yeah,
I want to actually.
Things to do.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I was just too excited. I want to learn to operate a big tractor, like not a tractor, like a digger.
Okay. Backhoe type.
Excavator.
Backhoe. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to dig trenches and stuff. Yeah, like. So, how would you say that? Is that a land working? Or how do you say that?
Landscaping?
Yeah.
Landscaping, yeah. So, stuff like that, exactly. I want to build 2 walls, and I need to feed through the whole property wastewater and water lines and main power lines and internet and all that stuff, and then all that jazz. I want to rent a big excavator. that's
you want to just play in big toys.
No, I want to fulfill the task. I have a goal.
Would you like to borrow a spade?
Huh?
Would you like to borrow a spade?
What is a spade?
Spade, like a shovel for digging holes.
That won't work.
Manual.
That's blisters for half a year. No. I need big machinery.
Move quickly.
It's mandatory for this.
Are you going to make a little river on your property?
Actually, my brother-in-law wants to do a bit of a Japanese garden kind of thing. With a bit of a flowy, watery thing and a pond and
Nice.
Lots of gravel nicely raked into shapes.
Yeah, he really's got a green thumb. He's coming after his mother. And they both have planned out the other side of the property for the plant stuff. And I would like to, I think I told you, Caro, right? I want to prolong the front of the house a bit and then build a wall so it's a bit more private, if you want, right? Cool. Because there's always people driving on my property just to get potatoes or eggs. Because we have this nice little, it's like a 1 by 1 meter square shed, right? With a little lock on the front, and every morning the grumpy Meyer comes from the next village. His last name is Meyer, so he's the grumpy Meyer, and he always comes in the morning and puts some fresh potatoes and fresh eggs, and it's self-serving, so he's got a bit of a little box for the money.
Like an honesty box?
Yeah, and then you can come by and grab yourself some potatoes or eggs. But there's always people on my property, therefore, so, yeah. Excavators. I'll say excavator. Next year, excavator.
What about you, Andy?
Me?
Yeah.
There's so many things I want to learn and do, and this is a curse in some ways because there's kind of constant responsibility. Well, I have I was chatting to this with my wife a couple of days ago when I finished my Fools with Tools treasure trade before sending it off, which I will admit I was the last one, but they've all been sent now, which is good news. So they were all sent off.
It worked out well
Christmas.
because your gift was also delayed. So
yes, it was. Yes, but that was kind of expected. And I didn't mind. Yeah, it would have been even worse for me if it had arrived weeks ago and I decided not to open it until kind of so I'd done mine. Although that might have sped me up a bit. Maybe I should have. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so I kind of, looking back, these were the only books I'd made this year, and it was kind of like, I miss doing that. So I did, for my birthday, I did get some books on bookbinding, and they kind of have a series of, well, the one certainly has a series of projects. Well, they both actually have kind of a succession of skills that you can develop as you go through it, with essentially projects as you go through. So what I've kind of sort of discussed with my wife is what I'm going to try and do. I'm just going to try. I might not make it every month, but I'm going to try and do at least one project from each book a month. So I think that's achievable. But I'll hopefully try and video some of them, because let's face it, I've got a YouTube channel and I've only put one video on it this year. So.
You haven't got a YouTube channel, Andy.
No, I've got
a myriad of
4,
YouTube channels.
5? Some of which I haven't put videos on for ages. Actually, I mean, that's something I've been sort of thinking about as well. I mean, as I discussed in Makers Waffle a couple of weeks ago, I did have an interview for a school week before last, which I didn't get. They decided that they were going to just go with a different approach. And fair dues, and I was a little bit frustrated. They took a few days to tell me, longer than they should. But it's probably just down to I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, a clara. But they've asked if they can keep my details on file, so that's a positive. But what it did make me I did realise is that actually I can still teach, and I might be able to actually do some teaching in a classroom, albeit on a small scale. But something that's I've been thinking about for a few years, and just on and off. And I used to, my last post, as well as teaching, I was responsible for training teachers who were not specialists in physics to teach physics. That was part of my role. Because I've got a lot of 20 odd years of teaching physics knowledge in my head, mostly somewhere. Some of it's tucked away in a bit inside the corner, with a few cobwebs around it. But there's still a lot there, and there's still a lot of stuff where I've got ways of teaching and talking about things that maybe are things that I've developed that, unless you've taught physics, unless you've obsessed about physics for over 20 years, you don't get. So I've kind of been trying to think of, can I share that? There's a lady that I've used to come into schools and deliver training, who still does that. I don't think she teaches at all now, but she runs a consultancy where part of which is working with private schools to get schools to partner together. Part of it is also about physics education and training people and things like that. So I've kind of thought about reaching out to her and sort of saying, look, and she probably knows because she's locally based that I'm not teaching anymore, but kind of reach out and say, look, I've got this knowledge, it's stuck in my head, it's a bit of a waste, and I want to get it out. So I might reach out to her to see whether I can perhaps help out with some schools locally to help teachers, not necessarily students, which obviously would be good for me, kind of just because it's doing stuff that I like and do. So that could be good. But then kind of, if I can, I need to establish a few kind of things to maybe start some of the Physics Mad videos back again. I need to kind of be able to set up how I can do videos quick and easily. So I was talking with Duncan the other night. I was thinking, I haven't used my table saw in nearly 6 years. It's taken up space in a very small room. I may as well get rid of it. To be honest, I'd probably, because of the way you use a table saw and having to lean over it, I probably couldn't really use. I have to use it. I have to literally take it onto our patio. So when the weather's bad, I can't use it. There isn't enough space to pull it out and use it in the tinkerage. And with my back, I probably won't really ever be able to use it properly. So I may as well sell it. And then there's a few other tools. And I've got a track saw, so there's nothing that I wouldn't be able to do. With a track saw and a mitre saw, that I wouldn't get rid of those. But maybe there's a few other tools that maybe I probably won't use. So if I get rid of those, then maybe I can generate a bit of cash and maybe get something like a laser cut out, or
Ooh.
just a desktop one, just like a K40 or something like that, or
I'd love to see what you could do with those as well.
Well, the thing I like, I mean, this thing like the small CNC. I mean, Chris Smith put out a build video of the small CNC, which is really cool, and I'd love the idea of that. And it's kind of maybe with something like a small CNC, you could get back into some of the metal work that I used to do, like silver jewelry. But then I'm thinking something like a laser with the books, covers and things like that. Cutting out. I mean, a cricket, whatever you call them, they may be able to do sort of similar things, but as much as I like the cricket and what it can do, I really don't like
There's a lot of stuff that the laser can do that they can't.
Yeah, well, that's it, and they're about a similar sort of cost.
Yeah.
Although I'd have to put that in the tinkerage because I probably wouldn't be allowed to have it in the house. Whereas a cricket, I could have it in the house. So for the most part, next year, the number one is to try and actually make a book every month or something like that.
Will you continue with your drawings still?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that's no habit. I kind of 500 days straight is actually only a few days away, because although the count I'm putting on is based on the start of the project 12365 that I did with Rob Prickly Sauce Thomas starting last year. But they did Inktober for 30 days before that, so I'm at 470. So I'm only a month away from 500 days. So if I get 500, I can go for 1,000, can't I? Yeah,
you're off with it then.
Yeah, I do want to kind of try and, at the moment, particularly with the stuff I'm doing, I'm very much going, what's the quickest, simplest thing I can do tonight to get it done? So I've actually got something out. Rather than going, right, I'm going to sit down for an hour and actually do something quite complex. So again, now the Tools Treasure Trade is over with, I might try and do a few more. I've got to tidy up actually, my desk is a tip in the house. So yeah, I'll tidy up that and hopefully get that out of the way.
You should probably do with some nice lasered boxes for organising all your stuff into, I'd imagine.
Well, again, the tinkerage would be a good place for getting a bit better organisation. Although I actually have I have a stack of. Last year sometime I picked up off Facebook Marketplace a stack of really useful boxes, the little tiny ones in kind of holders. But they're on
just
top
keep them empty and sorted, just as I do, right?
Well, they are empty and sorted. I think at the moment they are just taking up space on workbenches and on the broken chair that's in the tinkerage that needs fixing, and the other bunch of stuff, providing services for the stuff that hasn't been put away. I can't actually physically get in the tinkerage at the moment.
You can open the door and reach in. That's close enough.
I can open the door because the door comes outwards, thankfully. And yeah, you
need one of those garbage grabbers, then you can reach in. They're quite.
This is Andy. Of course, he's got at least one of those.
There are two. One's in the tinkerage, and one's by the back door.
Can you reach the other one with the one that's by the back door?
No. Yeah. What I really need to is, if I'm honest about it, is probably to get a giant skip, get a dumpster, because I've got a shed that's falling apart that needs emptying, that's full of stuff. I've got another shed that's full of stuff like
what you
lawnmowers
probably
and
need
bikes.
is a group of maker friends to turn up one weekend with a couple of tents, and then just
please empty that for me.
Yeah.
Now please take that down for me. Yeah,
get rid of that. Get rid of that.
Yeah, probably somebody might try and burn the shed in place. Yeah.
If you ask me not to, then I won't.
So there's always so much. I kind of have almost stopped with making plans though, because every time I make plans, they never come to fruition. But I try and do stuff like Makers Waffle. Didn't plan Makers Waffle. It just kind of look, there's this gap. Let's do it, and we did it, and
it's going strong.
Loads of different plans and ideas, and then just grab whichever one is accessible in the moment.
Yeah. The problem I have, particularly kind of this time of year when it's cold, like in the house, is if I want to do something, if I want to make a book, I've got to get everything out, put it onto the table, which is our dining table, do something. But then if it's close to dinner time, then I've got to then put that away. Sometimes you go, it's like Kjell, you said earlier about kind of just popping down and doing something for a few minutes. It's like when you've got to get everything out.
I have to say,
and then put it all the way back again. It's very frustrating sometimes.
But for me, it's really I really did recognize how bad it is to work in a really cold shop, and I thought a lot about you, Caro, because it's fucking freezing inside and it's not fun. So you have to like play the onion game, and then there's still something to put on your like fingers, and then you can't do certain things, and ugh.
But it's when you can't feel your fingers anymore, and you can't. You cut them or something. You don't know you've cut them because they're so cold.
Yeah, they go numb really fast, right?
Why's my project gone red?
Yeah,
done that before.
Yeah,
but if the cells are so squished together because of the cold, it doesn't even bleed that hard. What about you, Kao?
Yeah.
I don't really make plans either. I mean, there's I don't know. I don't have any like project coming up for sure next year. There's a couple requests which would be amazing if like one or two of them actually happen. But it's very uncertain if that's like going ahead or not. So at the moment I don't know, I'm trying to get through winter somehow. And
maybe you learn to fell a tree next year.
Maybe I do that, but let's speak about that. Yeah, no, there might be exciting things coming up, but that's all unlaid eggs, as we say. And so I don't want to keep like talking about stuff that's maybe not gonna happen, but
yeah,
if it's gonna happen, it will change a lot, and it will be very exciting. But
I'll be visiting.
Yeah, you will be visiting anyways. So
yes.
Maybe that's one thing I hope that will actually happen, is being able to travel more relaxed again and seeing other people relaxed again. I did actually quite a bit of travel this year, both for work and just for seeing friends. I mean, I somehow managed to get over to the UK, I think 3 times, so it's pretty decent, I guess, considering all the things that happened. But I really just wish for things to become a bit less exciting in a negative way. I wish for things.
Such a great way of putting it.
Yeah, I wish for things to become a bit more like normal and boring again.
Chance to breathe.
Yeah, and isn't
it a Chinese curse? May you live in interesting times.
Well, there's one more thing, because I drove my car to the garage today, and he has time in to fix it, or to properly take care of all the things that I can't do, because I don't have the knowledge and like the thing to lift up the car anyways. So I found a guy who is willing to take care of some things that he's hopefully gonna do in February, so I can get back on the road, and I really hope that's gonna happen. So fingers crossed that he will survive another 2 years of TÜV or MOT in your case. And I can actually drive without it blowing up under my ass.
I mean, it's one way to warm you up slightly.
Probably, yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's very unpredictable, really. When I wrote my old boss where I did the apprenticeship just to check in because I haven't seen him in years and wanted to see how he's doing, and was basically just like chatting away with him and mentioning like, yeah, if you have any like jobs from January on or something, I'm free. I would love to work with you again. And he wrote back immediately, yeah, if you have time next week, come by. I'm like, okay. So it's more the case of, I know one job that's going to happen for certain in January, but that's not like a really big one. But at the moment, it's more the case of getting back to people and like making them aware that I'm available, so to say.
Yeah.
So, but I'm pretty relaxed so far. I mean, in the past years, at some point a job will come by eventually. So I hope that's gonna continue.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No real plans aside from things that I can't
Can't plan for.
I can't plan for. I can't. I have
ready to
no.
react,
I
I
have.
suppose.
I have no control over. Right. There are things that are in other people's hands that I'm not the one to decide. So I'm waiting for a few decisions, and if they are made by other people, then I can proceed with my plannings. That's very cryptic, but also very exciting. So just cross your fingers for me.
Absolutely.
What about you,
Jamie?
Jamie?
Well, travel is definitely on the agenda because after 16 years of my passport being expired, I managed to get my new one sorted. So I've got plans to at least go and visit some friends. But continuations for me, really, because as I said before, I don't tend to use New Year as a starting point for things, but I've recently started down a few paths that I want to continue on with. Sort of had a bit of a lapse in my gym work earlier in the year, so I need to get back into doing that. So I started doing new little routines, doing bits of weightlifting and stuff, and kind of continue on with that, develop that a bit more, get sort of back into better shape.
Same here. Good point.
And yeah, a little bit, learn a bit more of the coding stuff that I want to learn, do a little bit more leatherwork. I started learning carving specifically with leatherwork in the last couple of months with like the treasure trade and stuff, so I want to develop those skills a little bit more, and it's things like that, sort of continuations of other things I've started throughout the year, really. That's me, really. Yeah, nothing as specific as January the 1st, start new task, just continue on with what I'm doing.
That's good.
Sounds like a good plan.
It'll absolutely get derailed several times, but it's just about trying to keep the habit and get back on those rails, isn't it?
I mean, I think just like taking care of your health, both physically and mentally, is probably for all of us should be a goal, or maybe not a goal. It's just like something to remind yourself of every now and then.
That's absolutely been the.
You need to let these things lapse. Yeah.
Yeah, you need to take care of yourself in order to be of any help for other people as well. So.
Very wise words, Carol.
That's very true. But I'd say it's as someone who hasn't always looked after themselves. I mean, in my 20s, I was very fit. Yeah, stupidly fit. Yeah, I could move fast. I'm never really into running. Bit of fell running, but I'm never really into running. But I could move fast. I could move for a long time. Yeah, I think nothing of walking 30 miles and carrying 20 kilos on my back in the process. And I was very fit. Yeah, being younger, I could pretty much eat what I liked anyway. But yeah, I used up the calories that I was taking in. So I wasn't overweight. I mean, technically, if you looked at kind of BMIs and things like that, yes, I was, but they don't factor in things like muscle mass and the like.
BMI is useless anyway.
Yeah, but yeah, when I went into teaching and something like that can take over your life, and I didn't look after myself when I was a teacher, and I did eat too much of the junk food. Didn't really get too overweight at times, but I wasn't always eating the right stuff. Far too many crisps and biscuits, and combine that with a high stress job, that took its toll pretty seriously on my health, particularly things like blood pressure. So I now take daily meds to keep my blood pressure under control, so that I don't have a stroke or something like that. I just suggest to anyone, stuff like that. It's crap. If I cut myself in the tinkerage now, I mean, I keep several trauma dressings in the tinkerage at reach from the floor. What I need to get, what I need to get, and I've got a first aid kit up high, but I've got basically both. I mean, the tinkerage is so small, but basically wherever I would fall in the tinkerage, if I'm on the floor, I can reach a trauma dressing with one hand. Not that I'm using my table saw, but there's still routers and things like that, and sharp blades. But I need to get, which really is on my kind of Amazon wishlist type thing, is some quick clot type stuff. The sort of things that you kind of put on, because the stuff I take for my blood pressure, I don't clot very well. I start to bleed, it stays bleeding for a while, and that's not fun. So taking care of our health, doing it for other people, I totally agree. I've got a family, and that's one of the reasons why I do sort of try and look after my health better now. But it's better for our own quality of life, particularly when you get old like me. You kind of
Well, I know for a fact that at least 3 of us are having back problems. So you as well. So it's 4 of us.
All 4 of us.
And we all know that if it's not present, you easily forget about it, right?
Yeah.
But when it hits you, you are not able to do anything.
Yeah, totally.
So I've known for a fact for like half my life that I should do something for that to like stabilize my spine and stuff like that. But
Pilates. I can recommend it. It's no use for me anymore because I'm as I've talked about before, my back is too far gone. My essentially, I try and exercise. I walk a couple of miles every day. I try and keep moving. I stand most of the day, but there's things like Pilates. I can't do Pilates anymore. I'm just too damaged. Eventually, for me, it's going to be surgery, and maybe then I'll do things. But I would definitely recommend for anyone that does things where they're maybe sitting for a long time, or they're kind of bent over doing stuff like you do, Caro, and you're having back issues. Pilates, I wish I had started it. Well, I mean, the damage for me was done in essentially not an accident, but a industrial injury back in my 20s before I was a teacher. I was doomed from the start. But I think if I'd maybe had done Pilates regularly when I started teaching, started sitting down for 40, 50 hours a week, marking and planning, then maybe I wouldn't be quite the situation I'm in now.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Pilates is a great tool for core strength and stuff like that.
Yeah.
For me personally, there's a lot of exercises in like that particular thing that I can't do because, like, I have other issues with my elbows and stuff, so I can't do a lot of the postures, anyways. But you have to be careful on how you execute them as well. So
yes,
if you already have if you already have back issues, I wouldn't suggest starting with Pilates or yoga at all, because it can cause it can cause more damage than it benefits you. So
definitely, I think it's a case.
So be careful.
The key is
Yeah,
seek
don't listen
expert
to our
advice. Yeah, not a bunch of
exactly.
part-time
Don't
podcasters.
don't listen to us. So
Yeah.
take care of your health and
Yeah, definitely.
speak to friends.
And like you say, the mental health is probably just as important. And I think we're getting better at talking about things like this now. Or maybe that's just the part of the community that we're in because people are talking about it more.
I think in
But
general,
I think
it's definitely becoming more an easy topic to discuss. But I do think we are in a bit of a vacuous bubble of delight and lovely people and freedom to be yourself and freedom to
because there are still people out in the wider world that don't get it, who don't understand it, who don't.
I think it's a
share.
privilege that we have in having the friends that we have and the shared experiences. I think there's a lot of similarity in the maker community that lends itself to shared mental health issues or reaching out for help and support. I think that's something that the makers are particularly good at.
The fact that at least half of us have got Asperger's or ADHD or
some neurodiversity.
That's probably that's the more politically correct way of putting it. Yeah, there's huge amounts of neurodiversity within the maker community.
Well, is that a good place for us to wrap up then?
I think it possibly is. Obviously, it's an hour later. You're an hour ahead of us.
That's not too bad. I think we can sleep in tomorrow.
I actually have to get up and cook potatoes and have to do a bit of work, unfortunately.
Well, thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah, let's wind it. Yeah, thank you. This is it's been a lovely chat. It's been nice. It's in a way it's been nice not having the pressure of the comments to worry about. As much as I love the comments, I hope that anyone listening to this don't get me wrong. I love having the comments, and it often kind of spurs us in particular directions and questions.
This has just been a rare treat, I think, is what you're trying to say.
It's been nice just to have a nice chat. Yeah.
For me, I was always turning off the comments because I can either follow the people that I'm actually actively talking to or the comments. So I think you guys do a great job of kind of getting it both in.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think it helps that there's two of us. I think that helps.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Massively.
Yeah. One of us can talk while the other one's reading.
So, I don't know. This comes out on the 26th.
This will come out on Sunday, the 26th of December.
So I hope that everyone had a nice Christmas by then.
Yes, that's a sensible thing.
This is past Caro speaking to future Caro.
Yeah, it's not much point. There's not much point actually at this point of the show sort of saying I hope everyone will have a great Christmas. We
can wish everyone a good start into the new year at this point.
We can hope you all had a fantastic Mariah Carey and that you all have a good new year.
Yeah. Didn't ate enough to be full, but not so much that you felt sick.
No.
And you've got some chocolates
anyway.
left. And some chocolates left for the next few days.
Yeah. I hope everyone had a great year and is looking forward to the next year. I hope we can meet again and like the community can get together again.
Yes.
And if not, I can only recommend of meeting people you like regularly, even if it's only via camera and microphone.
Couldn't agree more. It's been a pleasure to welcome you, lovely friends, into our lives.
Same.
Stop it.
On that note,
push the button.
bye, folks.